This is the Pain Train Preston Quinn, one half of the Extreme Horsemen. And when I want to hear music and entertainment, I come right here. You're listening to On the Fly with Stevie and Warden.
You are listening to On the Fly.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. What's up, guys? On the Fly. We're pulling double duty this week. Me and Warden, I got to pay Warden the overtime this week.
Yeah, it got me working hard.
I
had to take a couple weeks off, but he's kicking my ass this week.
You got to make up for all that back pay, dude.
I just started feeling better today, man. God, all that crap I had. Jeez. Sucks getting old. Don't ever get old, Joe. Don't ever go, Jack. Don't ever get old.
No, try not to.
Anyway, you Joe. Sorry,
Joe. Anyway, tonight we're going to the wrestling way. You see, I'm representing the Midnight Express. You see, Pennachio, he's representing the NWO, and Warden, we're not going to put his on.
Hey, the Demon, dude.
We're going to get sued.
Hey, the Demon, he was in WCW.
Yes, he was. Worst gimmick of all time. But hey.
Started off at Brian Adams was the original Demon, and then he was like, I'm getting out of this. Then
was that Crush? He became Crush later, right?
He was Crush before that. Yeah. Anyway, tonight we're going to do our top 10 favorite wrestling tag teams of all time. And we did our singles wrestlers a couple of weeks ago. We had Fusion Tech's Joe Decker from the Shout Out Loudcasters. And with us tonight is another member of the Loudcast family, one of the most famous. I mean, there's only two. There's only two people in the Loudcast family that have a theme song every time they get talked about: Joey Casada and the famous Jack Pennachio, who is with us tonight. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, Jack, fellas, Steve, Jace, how you guys doing?
Great.
All the way from down under. So it's actually Sunday morning where Pennachio is. So we don't want to know what happens tomorrow. Yeah. So,
I'll keep on the down.
Can you send me those lottery numbers you promised?
That's what I always say to Pennachio. Don't tell me what's going to happen tomorrow yet. But so we're going to do our top 10. Of course, you heard me say the famous New Age Outlaw intro, which may come up later on in the show, but we'll see. Before we get started with that, there is a big, huge story, probably the biggest story in wrestling in a long time. Yesterday, amidst all this accusations and stuff flying around that's happened over the last month or so, maybe even longer than a month, Vince McMahon retires as head of WWE. This is huge because you think about it. Back when I started watching, that was in '85, and Vince was, that was when they were like white hot. They had everything going. Sports Illustrated cover for Hogan, Hulkamania. They had all the TV deals. They had rock and wrestling. They
ice cream bars.
Those ice cream bars were the best freaking thing. I don't know if did you have those? You ever have one, Warden?
Yeah.
Gosh, they had them at my school, and when I saw them, they served them at school at like our snack, and I was like, oh crap, this is bad. I'm gonna be eating them every day. I don't know if I have enough money for that, and now Vince is gone. John Laurinaitis is gone. What else is going to happen here? So, Pennachio, you were giving us the kind of scoop on what was going on. So, tell us the latest you've heard on what's going on with Vince.
Well, the latest I heard, as we all know, someone came forward, and then about several weeks ago, apparently two more women came forward saying the same thing, a non-disclosure agreement that came through. So, I think it's just all the pressure is just getting to him. people saying that Stephanie told Vince to step away. It's time to now. You're going to make things worse. So I reckon there's more to it, and I think it's also probably Triple H and Stephanie saying you have to go to save yourself now. And obviously, John Laurinaitis has stepped away as well. So
I can't.
But it's bad. Everyone's going. It must be worse than what we think it is.
Yeah, because it kind of like at first everybody will say, "Oh, he'll brush this out. This will die down." But no, it was like I think one of the ladies, and I don't know if this is one of the three we're talking about here, but there was a lady back in the 90s that was a female referee that and somebody else, she had her story. She actually had her story out there a while ago, actually, when it happened. And then somebody that was I think he was kind of a enhancement talent. He came out and pretty much said, yeah, that's what happened to her. And it's just been going downhill since for Vince. So now I guess Stephanie's in charge. Triple H is in charge of creative, which in my opinion is probably the best thing that could happen to WWE right now, because whoever's doing creative, you suck, because it's been terrible. Did you hear about Brock though? Brock walks out at 5:00 yesterday saying, if he's gone, I'm gone. So they go in panic mode.
Yeah, they're going to supposedly bring back Goldberg. Ooh.
Yeah, I heard that.
Goldberg. But, then Brock, I guess Brock had time to cool down. He made his appearance last night. So I guess the main event of the pay-per-view, SummerSlam next Saturday, is still on with him and Roman Reigns. So
money does talk.
Well, yeah. Do you really think Brock is hurting for money though?
No, but I don't know. I told you, Stevie, yesterday that it's time for the WWE to quit relying on the part-time. I mean, there's talk about The Rock coming back for SoCal. I mean, yeah, that'll bring in the non-wrestling fans, but I mean, and everybody's blamed Vince for how creative's been. Well, now he's gone. And I know a lot of people, I was reading online, people saying, well, this is a work that he'll probably still be calling the shots. He can't. Not when they're a publicly traded company. I read that it has to be legit. It's not a storyline. So if Triple H, they talk about NXT being so great. I've never been an NXT fan because I never really watched it. But
NXT was one of the best shows before it became 2.0.
That was exactly what I was about to say. When Triple H had to step back from NXT a while back. When it became 2.0, Triple H didn't have that.
But he stepped away when he had his heart scare.
Yeah.
But what sucked about NXT is that they would kick ass on NXT, but in the main roster, Vince would kill them.
Yeah.
You had, and it's
you can't bury young talent. I mean,
Triple H wants to do like the territories. He wants to like a development league. And if that does it and it makes it more exciting to have like a crossover show, I'm all for that. I'd watch that, but I don't think NXT was that. Vince never let them in that much. Maybe with Triple H, that'll be more. And is there any rumor about maybe Shane comes back? I mean,
so Shane can dive off the top of a freaking tower again or something like that. And
I like Shane.
Look like,
yeah.
I don't mind Shane, but come on, you don't.
No, I'm talking about him in a corporate role, not in a wrestling role.
Yeah, please don't put him out there wrestling and get the best of some of these guys that wrestle every night. I mean, that's what I don't like. And I agree with you about the part-time deal, but I'll tell you this about Brock. I was one of the guys that said Brock doesn't need to hold the belt. Mm-hmm. Not coming in part-time, coming in, however his schedule works out for him. But I will say this, and I still don't think that's right. I still don't think it's right. But I will tell you this. He has made me a fan because I never thought in a million years with the character he's got now.
Happy Brock.
I didn't think he could ever pull it off by himself. I always thought Brock had to have. He has done a great job with that character. And my hat's off to Brock Lesnar. I'll give credit where credit's due. I like that new character, but he still needs to wrestle full time if he wants the belt.
I hope they tap into some of the resources they have, like Heyman, maybe make him a writer or like something that where he can like, do in creative, because they need to get away from these outside Freddie Prince Hollywood writers that are just
he's gone. He's been gone.
Yeah, I mean
the only problem
I think would be a great addition to like any kind of writing staff, because the guy's controversial and
the only problem I have with Heyman does a great job, but don't give him too much power because he will screw somebody. Yeah, they
need to bring back Cornette back and them have the battle of the old cell phones, and can't say Mullen anymore. Yeah,
Cornette
would be a good addition. I think Cornette would be great.
Cornette has got probably the best wrestling mind ever.
I love him.
Whether you agree with his views on other stuff, no, I don't always agree with what he.
I just wish he'd hold back and not hold back so much. Express himself. I was looking at his podcast. I was looking at his podcast, and he has like a couple of them. They're 3-4 hours long. I'm like, you think we're long? Crap.
Man.
I like Cornette too.
He talks about everything. From one episode I listened to, he talked for 30 minutes about his neighbor. He built a fence, and his neighbor messing up his fence and stuff. That was 30 minutes. So although it's not wrestling, he like goes off on people.
And how nice is it? And how nice is it to listen to a podcast without Conrad Thompson on it? I mean, he's like on every other podcast. And and speaking of which, I've told you, but Double J is probably my least favorite wrestler of all time. But I like that angle that they're doing with the Flair stuff.
How good is it? It's
real. That looks good. I want to 35.
Hold on a second. This is where we're going to disagree. I watched that angle, and I watched the parking lot deal.
I liked it. It's old school, Dusty Rhodes, man.
Yeah, it's old school, but let me tell you what. And I talked to a guy yesterday that comes into my work. He's one of the vendors, and he is a big time old school wrestling fan. We talked about it. He's like, if that 20 years ago, that would work. It's not, you don't believe it now because it's not real. And the fact too, if you watch those guys when he first goes down, when they first knock him down, it's not, I mean, if you're out there to try to hurt him, and I know Jarrett was done like, oh God, and all this stuff, but Jay Lethal, you're not going to sit down there and look at him like you're checking on him to make sure he's all right, which I believe they were doing. I think they were.
Everybody's worried about Flair's health.
Yeah,
what better guy besides Jay Lethal, the guy he's been training with? I mean, I think that's a brilliant move. Well, I don't think Flair's going to wrestle at all.
They worked it really well. They made it.
I love the angle.
I'm going to use you, Jay, and then I'm not going to put you on the card. Sorry.
And I don't like Double J, Jeff, but I like this angle because it's cool watching the podcast with him and
Conrad,
Conrad, and that's funny. That's some funny shit. It's so obvious if you're like, but it takes you back to a time when there was it kayfabe or whatever it's called?
Yeah, kayfabe.
I love that. That's why I think I can watch AEW more than I can anything else, because it's like it's still believable. Like Jericho's in character, these guys are still in character. And I like this because everybody knows it's rigged. Except for the people that, never mind. But that don't. That still wrote to them, damn it. But I love it. I think it's great. I love it. I'm an old school Mark. I'm a Ric Flair Mark.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny him trying to gourd Jericho into it. I'm glad Jericho didn't bite. But I think they were like, let's try to get him into it, because I'm sure Tony Khan wouldn't have minded Jericho doing it. But Jericho, him going after Jericho, that was
well, I think they were running out of options, and then Jarrett stepped up. I think they
also the son-in-law. He's got.
I'm just glad. I'm glad it's a tag team match.
Yeah.
In case Flair kind of gets out there and can't go, you got somebody he can lean on a little bit.
Because the first match that was mentioned when it first came out was Ricky the Dragon was supposed to go. And Ricky's like, no, I'm not going to. No, he's going to die in the ring. No thanks.
Steamboat's smart.
And you got to realize, too, what does that tell you right there when one of Flair's closest friends says, I'm not going to do it? because I'm.
And Ricky could carry him because he's.
Oh yeah,
he still works out. He's healthy, clean, everything.
Yeah, because he had that feud with Jericho not too long ago. They were still
a while back, but
yeah.
He could still go. You could tell.
Yeah, Ricky didn't abuse himself at the Marriott bar like Ric Flair did.
No,
he didn't visit as much as Flair.
I'll tell Pennachio this story because I think I told you, Ward. My cousin was he was like one of the buyers at a sporting goods store. And this was back probably 1990. And they had just kicked Sting out of the Horseman. And Sting had hurt his knee. Well, they had a convention, like a sporting goods convention in Atlanta at the Omni. And Flair, this was when I think WCW had a contract with Ruse, the sneakers that they were Velcro. It was like one of the first, and they had a little zipper pouch.
Kangaroos. They were called kangaroos.
No, they were just Ruse.
They were kangaroos.
No, they were Ruse. Look it up.
I believe you, bro. I just thought they were kangaroos.
Yeah. Well, this is right up Pennachio.
Dude, in the 80s, I was wearing BKs. Bruce Kulick was my boy. I wore British Knights. So.
But anyway, they got there like on a Friday night. Well, Saturday morning, the Omni Hotel was right across the street from the Omni. They were getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden, this big Cadillac comes flying through the parking lot right up there at the entrance to the hotel. Almost hits them, and he goes out. You see the Cadillac go in the grass, and they were like, "Who in the heck was that?" And all of a sudden, you see the car door open. You see a foot step out real slow. And you see this white hair come up, a bunch of white hair come out, and it's Flair. And Flair starts walking over to him. He said his button-up shirt is unbuttoned, his necktie is off to the side. He's got his sunglasses on, and he walks over to them. He said, "Did I almost hit you guys?" And they were like, "Yes, sir." He said, "I'm sorry." He said, "The Nature Boy has had a rough night." He said, "Are y'all here for the sporting goods show?" And they were like, "Yes, sir." He said, "Come to my booth." He said, "I'll hook you guys up. Just come to my booth." And they were like, "Okay." And he looked at the bellboy or whatever. He said, "Can you tell me where my room is?" He said, "I don't have a clue where it is." So they, later on that afternoon, they were walking around and they were talking about it. And they were like, "He will never remember who we are." And as soon as they walked by, he come walking out to them. He said, "You're the guys I almost hit this morning." They were like, "Yes, sir." And he's like, "Whatever y'all want, give me, I'll sign or whatever." And it said it was just as nice as he could be. But yeah, Nature Boy had a rough night last night. I can only imagine. But yeah,
you ever heard that story of Terry Taylor when Terry Taylor was, I think it was in Mid-South, and they were wrestling there at where the Saints play the Superdome.
Superdome, yeah.
And Terry Taylor was all excited, saying, "Oh, this is my big chance. I'm a North American champion." And so he sees, and he's like, he wants to work with Flair and get stuff done. Well, Ric Flair comes in looking like he just been up all night, which he probably had. And he goes, "Well, just give me an hour. Just give me an hour. Let me kind of just catch my breath and rest." And so he's like, "Oh my God, he ain't going to be able to wrestle." And Terry Taylor's all freaking out. Well, an hour shows up. Ric Flair's just in his thing and everything. "We're going to do this, and go an hour." And he says that Ric Flair had him gasping for air at the end of an hour after them going in. He just came in, got a little beauty sleep, but I think that's Flair's lifestyle. Like, if you ever seen it, he's just one of those. You ever have one of those friends that just always wants to party and is always there, and you're like, "God, we just partied last night." Well, come on, dude.
But who does that remind you of? Who does that remind you of? They just talked about on Shout Out Loudcast. Jericho.
Yeah, he's like
Jericho can stay up all night and then go the next day. I mean, yeah, it's just.
Well, yeah, like Jericho, he did that Creatures Fest, and then apparently he flew out that night because AEW had a
pay-per-view
across country in Vegas. I think it was.
And you're thinking about me and Stevie were talking about that. You listen to his podcast. He had blood clots back in January. He almost died.
Yeah, he couldn't.
And then he was like doing that stuff on top of the steel cage with Cesaro. I mean, my God. I mean, the guy's like what, 51, 52? And it's like, I mean, I guess that DDP yoga works, bro. I mean, he talks about it, but I need to buy me some of that DDP yoga, man.
He's the ultimate entertainer, no doubt about it.
It's in your blood when you're like that. That's when the people like the Flairs, the Jerichos, the Shawn Michaels. That's why they make it, and like their partners, like the Marty Jannetty's. It's in your blood. I mean, there's people that rise out of the ashes.
I still laugh every time I watch when the Rockers broke up, and
That's great.
Bobby Heenan, one of the best lines ever. Did you see Jannetty try to dive through that?
He tried to escape. That was actually done here in San Antonio, Shawn Michaels' hometown. It was like on a taping because I remember a buddy of mine went and he goes, "Dude, Michaels turned heel," and I was like, "What?" And it was, of course, back then before you had the internet. You had. I remember the Pro Wrestling Illustrated used to have the match results in the back. I used to watch that, like Flair beating Dakota Kola. I used to watch that crap. I mean, I used to love that. I mean, you'd buy a wrestling magazine 4 months later. They'd be talking about the Great American Bash.
That was the only way you were able to keep up with anything outside of your area. That's how I kept up with World Class or AWA.
Yeah, then in the 90s, Mean Gene had that damn hotline and got that $70 bill for listening to the hotline.
I'll tell you one thing, and this is how diehard of a fan I was. I think back in the early 90s when JR was still in WCW, on Sunday nights on AM 750, I think it was a radio station out of Atlanta, I think at like 8 o'clock, he would have a talk show for an hour and talk about and have guests on there. I would sit out in my car because you couldn't pick up AM radio good in the house. I would sit out in my car and listen to that, had my car on for like an hour listening to that. It was pretty cool back then. But that was
pretty cool now.
The internet.
What's pretty cool now is Busted Open on Sirius XM. That's pretty cool because they make that. I mean, it's with it's got Bubba Ray and Mark Henry on there, and I forget the guy's name, but it's a cool show. They keep it. They have interviews. They keep it kind of real, kayfabe, but it's neat to see wrestling is getting. I can't wait for Mondays when they talk about the Vince deal. That'll be a good one.
Oh yeah,
because I love
every
Bubba Ray.
podcast, every wrestling podcast.
I'm excited to hear what Jim. Like I said, I follow Jim Cornette, so he's gonna have a. He's just gonna lash you out.
That's probably gonna be like a 6-hour show. The next show he does about Vince. Anyway, before we get wound up too tight and we end up going 4 or 5 hours like Cornette.
Can you dig that, sucker?
Oh my gosh. Hey, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
Yeah. Say it, Stevie. Yeah. I love that video. I love that video because Butcher T's like,
he looks right at Sherry like, God.
What did I do that for?
Sherry had that smile like, oh, we're done. We're done.
Just going on. Yeah, we're history. But anyway, so like I said, we've already got some comments up here. Actually, the guy I was talking to in the store, the vendor I was talking to in the store about the Flair angle, has already got his top 5, and he's got a type 3A and 3B. So we'll get in that in just a second once we start our list. Douglas Dixon, we appreciate you listening in tonight.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Get you. Anybody wants to comment, feel free. We'll try to get all the comments in that we can. Me and Warden are.
I got a question for Jack. Mm-hmm. So, what part of Australia are you from? I mean, I've never been there, but of course I've seen Crocodile Dundee and all that stuff.
I'm on the east side. I mean, a little town called Queanbeyan, so just outside Canberra, which is the capital. So we're about 3 hours south of Sydney, really. So,
okay. So Kiss is coming up, right? On their
so they'll be going shows. No, I won't be, and that's just choice, really. As we know, being Kiss fans, I've seen them. I've seen the show many times, and it's just. I know it's bad, but they're doing the same thing for 6 months now.
I mean, I don't know. It's not bad. No, it's not.
If I have to see Kiss, I know it's off topic from wrestling. I have to go to Sydney or Melbourne. It's the closest towns. So that's $200 traveling. Then there's money for hotels. There's food. Then it's the show. Then it's. I'm seeing the same set list again. I can't justify that, but that's just me.
Yeah,
because I saw him 3 times on this tour. Because I figure, hey, it's my last time. But me and Stevie were talking. They're adding 100 dates, and he asked me if I'd go again. I go, yeah, I probably would. I'm definitely the KT.
I don't know. I'm about like Pennachio on that. I just
they were pretty close to you, Stevie, right? Like they were in your area, right?
Raleigh is about an hour and a half away from us. That's where my daughter went to see the Dixie Chicks at. So
They're
it's not far, but I'm like Pennachio. Yeah, if I thought they would change up the set list a little bit, I'd probably go, but it's not going to change. Now, and nothing against the backing tracks. Don't get me started. I'm not Eddie Trunk, but Stewart, but
You're not. Wait.
Yeah,
what about this? Dude, I'm out of here.
Let me go ahead and mute you like I did the other night. But it's not going to change. The set list obviously is not going to change. So, I mean, this is the same set list they've been playing for what 7-8 years now, maybe longer.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to change it up if you're going out. You need to change it up a little bit. But
if it works, don't fix. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
No, if you're going out on your
I'm the direct opposite of you guys.
I don't care what Paul Stanley said.
This is my favorite band, and actually, I had to put up with the makeup because I'd much rather them been freaking on the Revenge era for the rest of their thing. So it's like, this is it. Because I don't see them doing much more, and I don't think it's because they don't want to. I just don't think the age is going to let them.
I have to throw.
But I could be wrong.
Hold on. I have to throw a shout out to Doug Dixon. He's a vendor, but his dad was the guy that used to come in there for a while, and his dad's throwing out stuff, and you just have to know this guy. He's incredible. But he's throwing out Gene and Ole. He wants Gene and Ole on our list, but Gene and Ole Anderson, the original Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Gene and Lars were the original, but Mr. Roy, I got you there. But what you were saying, Warden, and I don't think you were where you were going. If I'm going to see my favorite band, or the last time I went to hear the stuff, I'm sorry, but I've heard the stuff over and over and over and over again. Give me something different. Play something. You want to represent all decades. Play something. Play all night. Play something from Asylum. Play something from Hot to Shade. Play something.
Tommy can do it. Tommy can play anything. That's the thing.
And that's the thing. You remember a while back, Pennachio, when they first started with Tommy and Eric, they made the comment, these guys can play anything. They were down in Ace and Peter. We're not hindered by these guys. So they could play anything, and yet they're still doing the same stuff they did with Ace and Peter. So we got another listener make a comment. Kyle Barber talking about he saw Whiskey Myers 2 weeks ago in Raleigh. Kyle has been on one of my podcasts before. Kyle from LaGrange. I'll put it that. That's a small
Whiskey Myers.
Whiskey Myers. I've heard some stuff about it, but I haven't listened to them.
Are they a band or what?
Yeah, they're a band, I think.
What kind of band are they like?
I'm gonna have to check them out.
Like Blackstone Cherry, that kind of southern rock thing, or what are they?
No. But if Kyle listened to them, they're probably pretty good. I know he's a big Cody Jinks fan, and he's a country guy. Cody Jinks is a country guy, but modern southern rock is what Kyle said. Is what Whiskey Myers.
Listen. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, I'm gonna check them out, Kyle. Kyle, we definitely got you in our prayers, buddy. Kyle's got something going on right now. I'm not gonna mention it, but Kyle, we got you in our prayers, buddy. Kyle is a
positive vibes, my friend.
Yes. Me and Kyle did a wrestling show one time. He was on one of my wrestling podcasts. I think we talked for about 3.5 hours, but he's a great guy. If you want to check Kyle out, he's a East Carolina fan. He does he does a great ECU football sports podcast with some friends of mine. I've been on that show before talking about wrestling too.
How much
here
you
we
hate
go.
Texas?
Oh, don't talk. Don't. At least you're not wearing that Texas shirt tonight.
Why do you have everything against Texas, bro? I mean, it's like we've done nothing to you, man. You rag on my Cowboys, you rag on my Longhorns. They both suck anyway.
That's what they all do. The Sports Objective is Kyle's podcast. Bubba Rosenbaum, David Richmond, Kyle Barber, and great show. If you get a chance, check them out. So before we go any further, let's get on to the main event because we'll keep Pennachio up till
lunchtime.
Like tonight, till Monday.
He's sitting there drinking his coffee, and we're sitting here.
He's all right. Yeah, he just got through eating breakfast though.
Yeah.
I mean, and
I'm ready.
I ain't even ate dinner yet.
It's like 12. It's like midnight at your place, Stevie, isn't it?
No, you're right. See, there's that Texas thing coming in again. You're not
One of them
very
Yankee.
smart.
You only have Yankees, man.
I'm not a Yankee.
You're a Yankee compared to
I'm
both of me and
deep
me and
south.
Jack.
I'm
We're
deep
a lot
south,
southern than
dude.
you are.
Shoot. You hear the accent? Tom Petty, Southern accent. So, before we go, me and Warden everybody's already heard how me and Warden got into wrestling. Pennachio, let's hear your story. How did you get into wrestling?
Like anything at school, we started to watch it on TV because we didn't really get the territories. WCW, we mainly just got WWF. So we watched it on TV. And it was around the time when game consoles brought the games out. So we all got into it. And I started to watch it on TV around mid-2000, 2001 when the invasion happened. I knew of wrestling prior to that, but I was like able to actually watch it. So around 01, I really got into it. And from there, I just watched it weekly. Took one day off a month to watch pay-per-views because we used to get them on Mondays here. So
Well, in like 01,
Yeah, that's right.
02,
You're a day ahead of it. I forgot. I didn't.
yeah, so
like
pay-per-view
01, 02,
Sundays.
you were like 13 years old.
12,
Me and Steven
13,
were already
yeah.
in our 20s. Woo!
So I was able to watch the tail end of what was known as the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Before the entertainment aspect of it got involved. But yeah, just through school, friends, and video games, really.
Yeah. So you started watching 2001 and that invasion angle that WWE totally screwed up. It could have been so much better.
I really loved it, yeah.
Gosh, but as good as it was, it wasn't as good as it could have been. They had people that they didn't use that he could have used, and oh man, but
It's all Turner's fault with the contracts.
Yeah, it is because a lot of people were making more money sitting at home than they would have been going to WWE.
Exactly.
But I don't know. So with the NWO shirt now, did you start going backwards and watching older stuff like the original NWO?
Yeah, so I had we used to get. I was still at that age where I used to rent videotapes.
Yeah.
So I got WCW Bash at the Beach. It was one of the very first pay-per-views I bought. It was like $2, I think. And then from there, I went backwards and I saw NWO Hogan. And Dad kind of told me like he traded. You know, we didn't really know much about wrestlers going heel there. And Dad's like, yeah, he traded back to WCW. I'm like, what do you mean? And then I realized everything. And I was like, this is a really cool group. They hate everything. This is their way. And you saw it. You saw the NWO did in WCW. You couldn't do nothing. They did everything. And I love that.
Yeah. NWO just got too big for its britches when everybody was almost everybody was a member of the NWO.
Yeah, when you had Disco Inferno join, you were over.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And then was it the Latino World Order?
Latino World Order, the LWO.
Yeah.
I was like, nah,
And everybody had a world order. I mean, it got ridiculous.
Yeah, even when like Dusty Rhodes joined, it's like, come on.
Yeah, that was when I was kind of going like, come on, guys, you guys are doing.
I like the when they did the Wolfpack. I thought it was pretty cool, but they ruined that too.
They ruined that, yeah.
When Hogan touched Nash and he fell down.
The
like,
Poke of Doom.
Yes.
Poke of Doom, yeah.
Yes, that was I remember watching it live that night, and they had this big build up for it, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be pretty epic. And then all of a sudden, doom, and I was like,
it's so odd that you say that because on Nash's new podcast, he actually said wrestlers today can't take a punch. They don't know how to throw one. Yeah, he took a finger.
He sold it well. He sold it real well.
He did.
Yeah. So with tag teams now, it should be interesting because Pennachio's about a decade and a half younger than me and Warden, so he's in a whole different era. But we should. I'm interested to see how many we've got that all three of us have on the list.
I think we might have a couple. I do.
We might. So. I'm thinking on my list with yours, maybe three. maybe 3 that we might have the same, but maybe 4. But
I'm going with 4. I'm going to guess 4.
Stevie, you forget though how deep track
I know you're going to come up with.
I'm not we did the Motley. Yeah, I'm a deep track guy.
He's going to come up with the Mulkeys. He's probably what Randy.
You're ragging on my choices, dude.
Mulkey Mania running wild.
Since Jack is our guest, he gets to go first.
Kyle Barber just said Midnight Express. I told you I'm representing. So all right. So let's get it started. Without further ado, let's get it started.
We're starting with our number 10 going up.
Number 10
going up. Okay.
And since Pennachio is our guest, we're gonna let Pennachio go first.
So I was saying I'm mainly a late 90s, early 2000s fan, but I will have a few surprises. So my number 10 is the tag team of Edge and Christian.
Yeah, I was watching on Peacock. I don't know if y'all get that. Do y'all get that over there?
No, I do have the network though.
Okay.
The network is still a thing over there, huh?
Wow.
Yeah. I think because Peacock's not a station here in Australia, so
Peacock messed it up, man. They went back and erased all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching Peacock last night, and it had an old Raw and Edge making his debut, and then I went a little bit further up, and it had Edge and Christian up there in a gauntlet match. Was that at one of the SummerSlams, I think? But Edge and Christian, and I'm not going to give away if I have them on my list or not. Neither should you, Warden. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But Edge and Christian probably one of the most entertaining. I like them better as heels.
Yes.
What was it? The
5-second pose.
5-second pose and
the benefit of flash photography.
Photography, yes, I love that. Then when they come, I think they went Nashville, and they did the whole Elvis thing. Oh, it was great. But mega talented. I actually got to see Christian up close and personal, but it was in a TNA pay per view. And yeah, the guy could put on a show, but.
He's a heel. He's a heel now going against Jungle Boy, and
he's a
good heel. He's a good heel.
Yes, he is a better.
He's a better heel than Edge, I think, because Edge you want to like, Christian you just gotta hate. You just want to hate.
Yeah. Christian will attack your personal things and make it feel real,
just like he did with Jungle Boy's mom.
And talking about Luke Perry being dead.
Yeah, and I mean. But yeah, Edge and Christian, multiple-time WWE Tag Champions.
Yeah.
Incredible run. I mean, when you think of them, you got to think of that SummerSlam match. What was it? First tables, ladders, and chairs with the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. Yeah, I mean that was actually in North Carolina. I was in Raleigh.
I remember that I was here for a I think a SmackDown or a Raw show, and they came when they used to come to the crowd. And Edge walked by me, and I like tapped him on the shoulder. Man, my hand was greasy the rest of the night, man.
So Edge and Christian at number 10 for Pennachio. Who you got at number 10, Warden?
Okay, this is probably the newest tag team on my list.
Here we go.
And I don't believe they'll be on your list.
Probably not.
This was a big reason that I kept watching wrestling and TNA. It's a tag called Beer Money.
Beer Money.
Hey.
Beer Money. James Storm and what was the other guy's name?
Rude.
Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode.
They broke them up, and I'm like, why did y'all break them up? They were a great team.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite. That was like when I watched that. That's what kept me watching TNA besides Flair and Nash. But Beer Money, man, I love that team, and it's just I don't know what happened to James Storm, but I see Bobby Roode still in WWE.
James Storm's in NWA now, the physical one.
He's still wrestling.
I like Beer Money. I mean, I like the Beer Money. I like that, and I like that deal they had with the Aces and Eights. I thought TNA was pretty good.
They had a
were
good
doing
thing
pretty
going with that and Beer Money. But believe it or not, Beer Money is like I had them right there on the edge of my list. Another team that Storm was in that was on the edge of my list, and Kyle Barber mentioned him right then. America's Most Wanted. I don't know if you remember them.
Yeah, that
was the tag team that was he was in before Beer Money. When Storm was in,
okay.
And but yeah, I always had this hope that James Storm would show up in WWE when Bobby Roode came there. They would
Yeah.
do Beer Money. It would be so great. But yeah, Beer Money definitely a big reason why TNA. I was watching TNA.
Stevie,
as well.
you approve of one of my deep tracks? Wow, it's about time.
Chris Harris, Wildcat Chris Harris. Kyle Barber just told me who the other guy was in America Most Wanted. And I think Chris Harris left TNA and went to WWE for a while, and he wrestled when they had ECW, and then he wrestled under another name. But oh man, he was horrible. It was not good. Anyway, moving on to my number 10, and I'll give you a clue. My number 10. I don't know if you guys pick up on this. You pick up on that, Warden?
NWO.
Really? Two of the greatest. I mean, two guys that went on to big time fame in WWE. One, probably one of the best performers in WWE history. Talking about the Hollywood Blondes. Talking about Steve Austin and Brian Pillman. Yeah. These guys, let me tell you, WCW back at that time made so many mistakes with talent.
Mm-hmm.
And to split these guys up, these guys were on fire. I mean, they were thrown together. I think Austin was told, well, you're going to get he was told by one person, you're going to get a run with the U.S. Championship. And then Pillman comes up and says, guess what? I heard we're partners. And Austin's like, what? He said, and, you know, they did, when they tagged up the first few times, they didn't even have matching gear. But then it got so good.
Didn't they get the necklaces together?
They had all of it, and then they did the whole, you know, doing the movie camera and all this stuff. They had an epic fuse with the Horsemen. I mean, but they didn't keep them. And for some reason, I don't know why WCW would do stuff like that. But you know, you got something good like that, and all of a sudden, throw them to the side, split them up. I think that if they had stayed together for a while, I think you would have seen this would have been a tag team that you talked about, like one of the best tag teams of all time. They probably, yes, Warden. Yes, that's that's the bottom line because I said so, Warden.
Austin carried that team. Brian Pillman was a loose cannon, overrated.
Brian Pillman was not overrated.
He was nuts, dude. I mean,
after he had the motorcycle wreck. Yeah, he slowed him down, but that guy could freaking go back and watch on the Peacock. Watch him fight. The best part
about that is when Austin comes to his house and kicks his ass.
Hey,
he had a gun on TV.
I was just never a Brian Pillman fan. He just always was too. He was too unbelievable as a heel. He was like too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He was overacting.
Like
That's my
blonde. He wasn't like.
I'm an Austin guy, but you know me.
When he got to be the loose cannon in WWE and ECW, that little run he had there, he wasn't like that as a blonde. But if you want to see one of the best matches you will ever see, check out Super Brawl 1. Brian Pillman versus Jushin Thunder Liger. Oh, my gosh. These guys put on a show. And, of course, Warden's not going to agree with me because he just paid.
I'm not a fan. I tell you, you. Yeah, now you know how it feels, right? When you don't pick a song that's a hit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if Pillman had come out to Torpedo Girl, you would have liked him a little bit better.
Yeah, or Fight for Your Rights, bro.
Fight for Your Right by Motley Crue. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, so Hollywood Blondes is my number 10. All right, Pennachio, we're back around to you at number 9.
So my number 9 is a team. When you hear them, I just think of territories and that's what I think of. And that's the Von Erichs.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Lord, you're right up freaking Warden's alley there.
Yeah.
Stevie doesn't like them because they're from Texas. So, I mean, anything from Texas is like.
I like the Von Erichs.
Yeah, Von Erichs are great, man.
They're just a team and a family that you just think they came up from nothing, created something, especially the Jim Crockett era, I do believe, and the fuse with the Freebirds, man. It's just, I don't know, rest in peace to Kerry. He could have been something huge, and it's something we'll never ever see.
Well, the best one was David, and he died before they say that he was the best athlete of them all.
Yeah.
Of course, Kerry had the looks, but Kerry had a lot of demons.
He did.
Yeah, but that's just. I'm looking forward to that movie's coming out. Didn't you say they're making a movie on the Von Erichs?
Yeah, what's his name? Zach Braff's supposed to be playing in it.
Yeah, because you watched that Triumph and Tragedy, that one on the Von Erichs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They did a Dark Side, and that was pretty deep. Yeah. And then you hear what happened.
Look,
Yeah, but to call his brother Kevin and tell him, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill myself. And you have a lot of athletes doing that now. A lot of that's probably CTE. Like that's, I thought Junior Seau shot himself because they could do it, examine it. They're finding a lot of that. A lot of wrestlers probably had that too.
who was what was the youngest brother that killed himself?
Chris.
Yeah. He was. I think with him, it was.
He was never big enough
to the Von Erich name. He was he was small. I mean, he was a small guy, but
Mike too. He was Mike was a good wrestler, but he was just he had that toxic shock and it put him back, and they rushed him back too soon because Fritz. I mean, you look at that family and you just the mom eventually divorced Fritz. I mean,
they talk like Fritz.
That's just so much tragedy, man.
It was just a tragedy to the whole family, really. Just one thing after another. But yeah, the Von Erichs, they could have been huge.
Yeah, I always wish that Kevin was always my favorite. That's the one I liked. I always wish that he kind of would have went national, like WWE or something, but he never won. He wanted to stay home in Texas.
I'm not. If Kevin's one of your favorites, I'm not gonna read this next comment to you.
Okay, I can tell you, I'm a big man.
Nah, I'm not gonna read it. I'll let you see it later on.
Well, tell me. I want to hear
it. Kyle Barber, Kevin Von Erich rivals Hulk Hogan for the biggest pathological liar in wrestling history.
Wow, that's saying something.
Ooh.
Wow. Do tell us more.
I'd like to know more about that. We got to have him on the show for that.
Yeah, we got to have Kyle. Now, I'll tell you this. Kyle can talk. Kyle will, and he doesn't.
I've heard that about Hogan. I've never heard that about Kevin. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll have to see what Kyle says about that. What his point of view. But now, what is Kevin's two boys are wrestlers now, doing pretty good.
Who is it? Is it Kerry's daughter's a wrestler too now?
Lacey. Lacey used to be.
Yeah.
Lacey used to be on TNA. And
Lacey.
I wanted to say Lacey.
God, she was hot.
Went back to college, got like a master's degree in something.
I don't think she played on the Von Erich name a lot. Like I think she did.
She's in TNA.
Yeah, she was in TNA for a little while. But the Von Erichs, you'd like to see the two Von Erich kids now, Kevin's son. You'd like to see them get back and kind of get the old school feel to it, but who knows if that'll happen, right? Can you imagine if in their prime, if the Von Erichs had got like into the national scene like WWF back in the day or something like that?
I think they wanted Kevin to do it, and I think David was about to, then he died.
David?
Because he wrestled out in Florida too, I think, and
David was supposed to be the chosen one, out of the Von Erich family. And then when all that happened with him, that they did the David Eric Parade of Champions, and that's when Kerry.
Yeah, they put the title on Kerry, but they'd take it off him because he wouldn't show up.
He took him off of him in Japan. So
2 weeks.
Didn't like. Well, you can't say that anything bad about Kerry there because back in that day, whenever Flair lost the belt, he didn't lose it for long. He got like a 2-week vacation.
No, Flair said if they took it off him because he was no showing events.
Well, I mean, but Flair would have got it back soon. Just like when
that's what the territory champion did. Yeah,
Dusty won it in '86, and
Dusty never held the title very long, did he?
No, never.
Dusty got it taken off that night, though, didn't he? Didn't Dusty get the belt taken off him?
That was
in the Garden
Starrcade at 80. Was it 85?
He won the WWF one, right? Or
no, he never won.
No,
the WWF.
I thought he won. I thought he won, and they took it off. Oh, that's Luger, maybe Luger. I don't know, it was somebody.
No, it wasn't Dusty though.
I thought that he won. Like there was
Dusty
a thing
beat but Dusty beat superstar Billy Graham in Madison Square Garden by count out.
But he didn't win the title. Okay,
no, he didn't win the title. They weren't going to put a belt on Dusty when he came up there with. They already were.
They had to wait for the polka dot outfit.
Yeah, they were already giving him bad enough time with a polka dot deal. So but he made the best of it. Did you guys? I know Pennachio saw it. Did you see my Mellow Yellow Dusty Rhodes commercial I posted? Yeah. That was awesome. That was awesome. So Von Erich.
Surprised you like him, Stevie. He's from Texas.
Well, I'll have to change my point of view on that, I guess. Number 9 for you, Warden.
Another Texas tag team.
Oh, imagine that.
I was flying back from Houston one time, and I saw these guys in the airport. And this is like in the probably mid-'90s and stuff, and we talked about them before. And man, these guys were massive. I mean, I saw them up close. They were massive.
I know you're not.
Can you dig that sucker?
Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat, dude. I love the Spinneroonie. I loved all that stuff. I loved Harlem Heat. I thought they were great.
Hey, he was the original You Can't See Me, I guess.
Yeah.
He used to do the whole.
Yeah.
I watched that thing on Booker T. Like, I think that what was that WWF Most Wanted or whatever, and that was pretty cool. But I always liked Harlem Heat because, I mean, they were just badass. They were just kick-ass team. They were heels, but I still liked them. I mean, I thought that just, and of course from Houston, Texas.
Yep.
But just a great tag team.
Yeah, I remember seeing them the first time on Global Wrestling. They were up there, and then what Booker T talked about it, GI Bro. They wanted to call him GI Bro.
Yeah,
they did for a little while, and then he actually went back to that WCW when they did that. What was that group they had?
The Chain Gang.
What was it?
Was that when Master P was doing it or something?
No, it wasn't.
No,
It was Hugh Morris. Bill DeMott was in it too. General.
They had the Colonel or something.
Yeah, and then they had Major Guns.
Yeah,
the girl was Major Guns and all that.
What was that guy? Heavy Metal Van Hammer? Remember that?
Oh, don't talk about Van Hammer. Good golly, hey, jeez, Cactus. I don't know if you guys listen to it or not, but if you don't, you need to listen to Foley's Pod. I know you're not a big fan of Conrad over there, Warden, but Mick Foley does a great job. I mean, he is very knowledgeable, and he tells a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Anytime I can get some information I didn't know, and to hear him talk about stuff that went on. But he had a match at one of the Clash of Champions with Heavy Metal Van Hammer. Yeah, that was the biggest joke ever, almost as bad as the Shockmaster. But
God.
So,
hey man, the Shockmaster, if he wouldn't have tripped, dude, that would have been the biggest thing.
Tugboat, Tugboat.
He was Big Bubba down here. He wrestles Big Bubba, Big Bubba.
So Harlem Heat, one of the most decorated tag teams.
Yeah.
WCW multiple times. I remember it was, and the fact that they won it that way. I don't know if you guys remember seeing it or not. Pennachio, if you went back and watched it, when the NWO really got started, they had I want to say it was like a triangle match for the tag team belts in WCW. It was Harlem Heat, the Steiners.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it may have been Sting and Luger. I think
it might have been. I think it might have been Sting and Luger.
And when the Outsiders made an appearance, the Steiners and Sting and Luger were like, I was like, all right, come on, let's do it like that. And I was saying, look at that. Booker T rolls up one of them from behind and gets the pin, and they walk off with the belt. They're like, I don't care. I just want a belt. But yeah, we talked about the whole Hulk Hogan comment from Booker T. But yeah, these guys, I remember when they came on, and I think they called Booker T Kane.
No, Stevie Ray was Kane, I believe.
Yeah, they had different names at first. Because that was when, and they were a part of the whole Shockmaster debacle then.
Yeah.
They were there with Sid. And, but yeah. And then Booker T goes, well, how do you think that made Stevie Ray feel when Booker T goes on to be this huge singles wrestler without him?
Yeah.
Stevie Ray joined the NWO. I was like, oh, really, dude? You don't need the NWO. You need your brother. You need your brother.
I don't know. I heard him on a podcast with Austin, and he seemed pretty happy for Booker T. It doesn't seem like
I hope so. There. He should be. Booker T. I
mean, that's a tag team that well deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, which WWE got right.
The only thing only angle I didn't like about Booker T was King Booker when he had the British accent.
I didn't mind that. I like that.
The terrible British accent. King Booker.
That's why I liked it, because it's so annoying and people hate it. It was just the best thing.
I love Booker's thing with Austin when they're in the grocery store.
In the grocery
Ass kicking on aisle 6, please. Ass kicking on aisle 6.
Yeah, Austin comes out the fridge, goes, Booker got milk. He just throws the milk at him.
And that stuff he does with Gold Dust. I mean, that shit was just funny.
That same TNA pay-per-view I saw where I saw Christian, I did see Booker T was wrestling with TNA then. He had
he's still wrestling. He's got his own promotion down there.
He's got his own school.
He busted out the Harlem Heat uniform 2 weeks ago. He was in I think a 10-man or a 12-man tag team, and he actually wore the Harlem Heat pants.
And he's a great commentator too. I enjoy.
Oh yeah,
listening to
I
him
do
play.
enjoy what.
He doesn't seem bitter. He doesn't seem like he cuts down other.
No,
He gives shout outs, and like he was talking about Paige leaving, saying, "Hey, somebody else is going to get her. She'll probably be a good
somebody
player
else is
again."
going to do great
Oh, yeah.
with her. But all right, so Harlem Heat's your number 9. My
Yes,
number
sir.
9. You got a Texas tag team. I got a North Carolina tag team from Cameron, North Carolina. The Hardy Boys. I mean, what can you say about the Hardy Boys? They start off as what? Preliminary wrestlers or enhancement talent, getting their ass kicked. I do remember, what was it, Rob Van Dam beating Matt that night, the first night. But you kept watching these guys, and it's like, okay, these guys aren't bad together. And then they did the whole thing with the Brood. But like I said, anytime you mention the Hardys, automatically you're going to say Edge and Christian. That big feud they had, and Terry Runnels was involved. She switched teams, like she switched drawers, and
Lita was really involved, wasn't she?
Lita was too involved in the Hardys, Edge, and Christian stuff. But I mean, it's just something about him. Got the Swanton and Jeff. We all know about Jeff's problems, but Jeff had no fear of doing anything. I mean, he would put his body on the line, and maybe that's why things are the way they are now. But as a tag team, they just had great chemistry. Great brother tag team, multiple time WWE champions, and
I always liked Matt because he was a good heel. I was
a Matt fan.
I never really cared for Jeff until he fought the Undertaker when he was in that American Badass thing, and Jeff wouldn't give up. I think that made Jeff like a singles guy. Undertaker helped make him in there, but I always like Matt because Matt, you could just tell he's an ass.
Well,
he's a jerk, and he's a good jerk.
Another thing that really put them over, if they weren't already over then, was the matches they had when Austin went heel and Austin teamed up with Triple H. They had kind of a little feud going there. I'll tell you a funny story about Jeff. A local theater we have here, like maybe 30 minutes up the road from us, was having TNA wrestling there. So my daughter at the time, she's probably 7 or 8. She was huge into wrestling.
He was in the TNA?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Dude, where are you at? Jet, don't you remember he went into a match so messed up, Sting wouldn't even wrestle him.
Oh, that's right. I remember Christian. Okay.
But anyway,
TNA's been out of business or been gone. I haven't watched TNA in years.
Yeah, TNA's still going on. But
there.
Yeah. But we get to our seats, we sit down. It's probably a half an hour before bell time, and as soon as we sit down, they come over the intercom and said, if you buy, yeah, Kyle, you're right. Run at Rapids Theater, wrestling on the stage. Exactly. That's where we went. But they said, if you buy this limited edition Jeff Hardy action figure, you get to come backstage and meet Jeff Hardy and get his, he'll autograph the figure for you.
Only $5,000.
No, I believe it or not, it was $30.
Oh, not bad.
And as soon as they said that, I can just feel these laser beams in the side of my head.
Yeah.
I turned around and looked, and my daughter's just looking at me like, Daddy, please. So, yeah, we go up there and we buy the action figure, and they were like, okay, this is the line over here. So we're sitting there, and the whole time she's just like, yep, blah, 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 blah. What am I going to talk to him about, Daddy? I'm going to talk to him about this. What if 7-year-old girl, she's like, I'm going to see if he'll give me his phone number and all this stuff. So we got 2 guys ahead of us, and they came together. The first guy goes up there to get his picture took, and my daughter is just
grown-ass guys, no kids, getting a picture with Jeff Jarrett.
Not Jeff Jarrett.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Jeff Hardy. You got your mind on Jarrett.
Oh, I don't like Jeff Jarrett. That's right. Wouldn't keep.
But anyway, that guy goes, he gets picture took. And the other guys get ready to go up there. My daughter's in like some kind of freaking trance. Walks up there in front of that guy, and she's just like doing like this. She doesn't say a word to him. he's like, hey, you gonna pull for me tonight? You gonna cheer for me tonight? She's like, that's the whole thing, the whole time. As soon as, and I said, yeah, she's a big fan of yours, and he was just as nice as he could be. Signed it for.
And I'm sure she appreciates you sharing that story now with us.
Oh, she loves. She
loves you hearing that.
She loves that. But she, as soon as we got away from there, she's like, "Oh, he was so great." She started yapping again. I was like, "Yeah, you went like a freaking, you were out like that." So she'll tell you that. But
I think also kind of what made them too was when they had those triple matches with the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, the Dudley,
Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
Those were some pretty badass matches too.
So, number 9 for me is the Hardy Boys. All right, we're back with Pennachio, number 8.
It's the first duplicate of the night. My number 8 is Harlem Heat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Harlem
Heat. No, like I said, I became a Booker fan at that time. I think they were the first really acknowledgeable African American tag team as well. They pushed them, and then, but the downside was they would lose the titles and get them back within a week.
Yeah.
That's okay. But
WCW booking.
That's the thing. That's when the booking started to go south, where multiple champions changing hands must be good for the fans. But Harlem Heat was just a fun, hard-hitting team.
It's funny. It's funny. I'd never really. I mean, I remember Harlem Heat, and it's there to me as a team that I look back on fondly. But I think at the time I probably didn't appreciate them as much as I do. But when I went back and watched some of their matches, and I was like, they were a real good staple on WCW back when they were one of the. You'd watch that match. To me, that's when I would tune in for.
Yeah.
And you talk about, WCW broke the racial lines with making Ron Simmons the first WCW world champion, which is something, especially the territories were down and they had to wrestle like them in Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
I mean, and also with, there's another team with,
Ron Simmons,
Doom. Yeah. Doom. I was thinking about Doom, but
Teddy Long is the manager.
Yeah. And you talk about, talk about the South and everything like that, but I think wrestling broke a lot of doors open.
Yeah.
For a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I'll say this about Doom, and I don't know if Pennachio is that familiar with Doom. Doom came about when Rick Steiner, Nancy Benoit came up as she was
woman.
No, at first she was just a big Rick Steiner fan that met him and became his girlfriend, and she come to ringside with him, and she ended up, tripping Scott one night when they were wrestling the Freebirds and cost them the tag belt, a chance at the tag belts. But Robin Green, that was what her name was but then all of a sudden when she turned heel, she's woman, and she's got this big tag team that's going to take care of the Steiners, and they come out with mask on and a cape on, and they were like, and all the announcers, even Gordon Soley was up there like, who are these guys? And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? It's Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. We're not that stupid. I mean, that was one of the first times I was like, okay, you really take us for fools, because everybody knows who. And then they did the whole match where they got unmasked by the Steiners. I was like, oh, big freaking surprise there.
I remember when I first saw her. She used to be with Kevin Sullivan, and she was called Woman. I guess they were down in Florida.
No, she was called with Kevin Sullivan when Florida. She was called the Fallen Angel.
Oh, that's right.
She was all woman after.
She was all woman though. Yeah. My God.
Yeah, and
I used to want to be Kevin Sullivan so bad just because of that. Even though he worshiped the devil. I mean, if that's what it gets you, I'll worship the devil.
Yeah. You know what? And another thing, Kyle Barber met. You talk about breaking down the barriers, and you think about it. Harlem Heat with Sherry, two, African American guys with a white woman, that was breaking a wall down there too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so Harlem Heat is the first repeat of the night. So.
Yeah.
I used to like reading the wrestling magazines when they would insinuate that Sherry managed them in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
What about Colonel Parker then? Oh, you don't remember Colonel Parker, do you?
Yeah, I just saw Elvis, dude.
Who?
Colonel Parker? Elvis?
No. Robert Fuller, who was a long-time wrestler, like Continental Wrestling, he came on and managed, I think it was Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater.
Didn't he
But
manage
he called
Colonel
himself
DeBeer?
Colonel Robert
Colonel
Parker.
Oh, no.
And he had this thing going on with Sherry. They actually got married one time, and it was causing problems with Harlem Heat. So anyway, moving on. That was some of it that you just triggered my useless information part of my brain then. So number 8 for you, Warden.
Number 8.
Here we go.
Stevie,
Oh boy.
flash the shirt, brother.
Oh yeah.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh, that low?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
My number 8 is the Midnight Express. And I'm talking about the one.
You're talking about
Oh,
I'm talking about
which
the,
one?
No,
Now hold
Which
on.
one? Yeah.
no,
Hold
I'm
on.
talking about the one with Stan Lane. They were the
Okay.
best.
Lane and Eaton.
I
or
like
Condrey and
I
Eaton?
like those two. I like the original ones, but I like the one with Stan Lane. Because I like Stan Lane. I thought he was. I mean, I remember the Fabulous ones almost made my list. They'd come into world class a few times.
Steve Kern, Skinner.
Yeah, Skinner. That's right. And yeah, but Midnight Express, and they're just lower because I place other teams above them. But one of the best ones with, of course, Jim Cornette. We talked about him before, but it's one of my favorite teams.
Yeah.
I'll get a little bit more into them later on, but so many. Yeah, and Kyle Boy was bringing up the original Midnight Express with Condrey and Randy Rose, but yeah,
Randy Rose from Aussie? He was in that?
Rose, ROS.
Isn't that the one that Paul Heyman was managing?
Yes, that one of the best angles and another angle that WCW could have made last longer, but that whole when they turned Midnight's babyface, it was so cool the way they did it. But yeah, that's
how good Heyman was, that he can make Jim Cornette a babyface. That's how good he was.
Yeah,
and Cornette still has that white coat that he bled on that night.
I missed out on his action figure for the white bloody coat.
Yeah.
Because they stuffed up. This is like a couple of months ago. They couldn't ship to Australia, and they only had 80 figures of the bloody variant. And by the time I went on, it was sold out. I was missed out.
I remember what was that, the Skywalkers, when they were on those scaffolds with the Road Warriors?
Road Warriors, Starcade 86.
Was it Bobby Eaton that broke his leg or something like that?
No. Eaton and Condrey were fine.
It was Cornette.
Cornette went back up. Now the angle was supposed to be, okay, Cornette goes up, Animal's up there with him. And when Cornette drops, Big Bubba or the Big Boss Man, whoever, he's supposed to catch him. Well, Bubba doesn't catch him,
Bubba,
and Cornette blows both his knees out. So they
But that stuff was high, man. I remember them talking about how they were legitimately freaked out about that. I don't blame them, man.
So Kyle Barber's talking about the first live wrestling show he ever went to was a spot show in Washington, North Carolina, Jim Crockett Promotions. The main event was the Midnight Express versus the original Midnight Express. I would love to have seen that live. Yeah, the Midnights, I'll get into that a little bit later on, where I'll talk more about that. Yeah, see, Pennachio is thinking the same way I am. So
you're both wrong.
Yeah, we're both wrong.
Number 7 is perfect, or 8 or whatever it is.
You don't even know where you got them at. Come on. So number 8 for me is a repeat, and you said 4, so this is going to be for me and you. Now this is going to be the first of 4 with me and Pennachio, I guess. Edge and Christian. Like I said, Edge and Christian, great tag team. What killed me was when I was watching it the other night with that gauntlet match at SummerSlam, JR they are brothers. He kept saying, they are brothers. They're brothers. Over and over again. They're brothers. No, they're not brothers. They're not brothers. But Edge.
Well, I believed it.
I did too. I mean, they could pass brothers. Yeah. Christian could pass for Edge's little brother for no way.
Edge and Christian didn't make my list, but if I had to pick a top 10 wrestler, Edge would be in there. I like Edge.
You already did that. Did you pick Edge?
Yeah.
Did you? You sure?
Don't you know me? Don't you know me? You think you know me?
You think you know me?
Oh, well done.
That's why we'll have to bring Pennachio back on the top 10 wrestling theme song.
We can change it. We can do another top 10 list, and it won't be the same it was last week. If it's just the way it is.
Look, let me
Like
tell
if we
you,
do this list next week, I'll probably have
there's two guys
multi-brothers
out there.
on
I actually did probably about 2 years ago. I did a podcast when I had a wrestling podcast with top 10 wrestling tag teams, and I didn't even go back and listen to it or anything like that, just to see if they noticed if there's any difference. And I think there's going to be some differences here.
I will tell you something, guys. This is probably one of the hardest lists I had to do because I'll be honest with you. Tag teams are not like my favorite.
I don't know about you. I mean, Warden, you just said, but tag team wrestling is probably one of my favorite things about wrestling. And I don't know about Pennachio, but the toughest thing for me, I could name, and I mean, I've got probably 20, 25 over here on my list that could have been, honorable mention.
Oh my God. 25 tag teams?
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. I mean, I'm looking at right. Yeah. And they're good. They're good. They could have gone on this list, but
what I said to Stevie offline, I think last week, I said, I'm picking teams that are a team. You can't just get someone who formed last week and they last a month. That's not a tag team. That's just
like Steve Austin and Shawn
Rock and Sock Connection.
I mean, they didn't stay together long.
That's the thing, yeah. Like now, I don't know if you watch it now, you've got Chad Gable and Otis. They're the Alpha Academy. It's not a tag team. They didn't come up together. They were just put in there because we're like, okay, guys, we got nothing for you. Go be a team. And it's got to dismantle in 2 weeks.
It's like Jericho and Owens. Like when Jericho and Owens did the same thing.
Jericho and Big Show.
They were just setting them up to feud. So
Jericho.
And then the Miz and the Big Show got the Miz Show, which died out. To me, that's not tag teams.
Somebody was talking. One of the wrestlers tweeted the other day about how many times the Big Show had turned heel.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like every other month he turned heel. I think they were actually talking about that on the Foley podcast, how many times he turned heel. But, it's just too many to count. So
way too many.
Number 7 from Pennachio.
Number 7. So we're up here now. All right. Number 7 for me is the Hart Foundation, just with Brett and Jim.
Yeah.
I like it as that. They got the original Hart Foundation.
Yeah. The whole deal with when they, because they didn't really, the only tag team in the later version was Owen and Davey Boy.
Yeah.
But the Harts, when they started, I remember that was when I first started watching, and they actually had, God, what color was that? They didn't have pink and black then. They had like blue, like a blue color and black.
Really?
When they did, you go watch WrestleMania, was it 2? When they were in the Battle Royal with like the football player, Refrigerator Perry was in there, and they were the last. They were in there at the last with Andre.
They had like blue pants and a black singlet.
Yeah. They didn't look. They were not the pink and black attack, and then but one of the, Brett. It was funny because they kind of took a break, and Brett went singles after Brett turned babyface after that Battle Royal with Bad News Brown turned on him, and then you see them get back together. And that whole thing with Demolition at SummerSlam when the Road Warriors made their debut and the Hart Foundation beat Demolition for the belts, that was kind of cool. That was probably, but the Bulldogs, I remember watching the day they beat the Bulldogs for the tag belts when Danny Davis, the first rogue referee, I guess.
Danny Davis.
Danny Davis was a joke, and they put him as a wrestler. But but the Harts, they had that big end up losing the belts to Strike Force that Friday night's main event. They didn't have it on Saturday night. That was the one where. Was that the one where the Mega Powers broke up, where Savage and Hogan broke up? No, that was the night that Hogan lost the belt to Andre when they had the Hebners. And Hogan's like,
how the hell do you remember stuff like that?
I'm telling you.
Do you watch these like every other? My God,
triggering
dude.
the useless information part of my brain.
I mean, I never remember the Hart Foundation not in pink. Man, you really got me beat on that one.
Yeah, they lost a strike force that night. And
was it Cowboy Blue? Because Jim Neidhart used to play for the Cowboys.
No, it was like royal blue. Cowboy was green. It was almost royal blue and black. The pants were blue top.
Were they with Jimmy Hart?
Yeah, Jimmy Hart.
I got to go back and watch that.
I don't know if you look at it, and it kind of confused me back in the day. Back when in the NWA territories, they had a guy named Bret Hart that was wrestling there. It was actually Barry Horowitz, I think. Was wrestling as Bret Hart. And yeah, I mean, you've heard Bret talk about they wanted him to be a cowboy.
That Barry Horowitz guy that did that?
Pat me on the back.
Hey, I remember about WrestleMania 2. What I remember about was the British Bulldogs. Didn't they beat Valentine and Beefcake?
They beat Valentine and Beefcake.
That's what I remember. That
who was Ozzy their manager at ringside with Captain Lou? I want to say Ozzy was at ringside. Yeah, Ozzy. Go back and look at
WrestleMania 2.
Ozzy was at ringside with WrestleMania 2 with the Bulldogs because the whole British thing. And Ozzy,
I don't remember that.
You know, he was probably high or something like that because he looked so out of place out there at ringside. I
remember Alice Cooper with. I remember Alice Cooper with Jake the Snake.
Yeah, he was at WrestleMania 3.
Yeah,
when the honky tonk man. But yeah, Hart Foundation. No, Kyle. Ozzy wasn't at ringside with Jake at WrestleMania 3. That was Alice Cooper, like what you said. Ozzy was with the Bulldogs. Yeah, but yeah, and we'll talk about them in a few minutes too. Hart Foundation.
My number 7.
That is one that I actually had on my list and I changed out. So that would have been number 2 for us. But yeah, Hart Foundation was a great tag team in the day, like you said, with just Anvil and Bret. Yeah. But number 7, Ward. Here we go.
Number 7.
Who from Texas did you pick this time?
Well, actually, yes, they are. This is probably what kind of got me kind of before the Ric Flair heel thing. There was a guy named Gentleman Chris Adams.
Yeah.
That was tag teaming with the Von Erichs, and he took on Gary Hart as his manager. Well, the Von Erichs didn't like that. Why you have that? And they were wrestling. So what happened is that Chris Adams super kicked Kevin Von Erich. And, of course, the whole state of Texas turned on him.
Yeah.
Well, there's this other guy from Texas called Gino Hernandez who could have been huge. One of the greatest heels in Texas. They had a team called the Dynamic Duo. And they would come out to Battle of the Bone. And I remember they showing them at the gym working out, and they're freaking Z. We are the best looking. We are the best tag team. I mean, you had, it was the Tex-Mex connection before Tito Santana. And I mean, it was, they were great heels. They were sitting there, and I think Mike Von Erich won a car in a battle royal, and Gino Hernandez had a chain and would smash the window. But what happened to them at the end? What happened to them at the end is they got into a fight, and they had this thing called Freebird hair cream, which I guess has made you lose your hair. Well, evidently, I think Gino Hernandez blinded Chris Adams with it. And they had this angle going on where they were going to make Chris Adams the good guy. Well, during this time, Gino Hernandez overdosed and died. So they had to rewrite something to come back. But they were a team that they were 2 of the biggest heels in Texas. Yeah. And they were one of my favorites. They were one of the people that made me cheer for it's kind of like Magnum TA with Gino Hernandez is what could have been. You just never would have known.
Gino, just watching his stuff, because back then when Gino was in world class, I didn't get to see a lot of world class, but going back and watching it and watching some of his promos and stuff to talk, he would have been a great horseman. Oh yeah. But what would have happened there? And I think me and you talked about it, Warden. What would have happened there?
Totally.
Flair, yeah, Gino and Tully, and you put Gino and Tully and Owen and Flair in there because Ole could have just retired or whatever. But yeah, Gino and Flair would have clashed.
Well, I think
the egos would be too big there.
Yeah, I think
one of them would have gone out.
I also think that I don't think it would have worked with Tully and Gino because they worked here together in San Antonio.
Yeah, they were a tag team there.
They were here. But I think Flair even said that it wouldn't have worked out with all three of those. It barely worked out with Tully.
The egos were so big there.
Yeah, because I mean, Gino Hernandez, man, he actually dated Farrah Fawcett. Like I guess between her, like Bruce, Steve, Lee Majors, and before Ryan O'Neal, I guess they had a thing going on together. Because I mean, it was like a big thing down here. Oh, are you dating Farrah Fawcett? I mean, he was all Hollywood, but man, he got involved with the wrong people, evidently.
Yeah, something, and there's still a lot of fishy stuff about that.
It's like Kevin said that in that documentary. It's like, well, they found the cocaine in his stomach. How many people die from it and being in your stomach? Because I think Gary Hart was like scared to death for him, and Gary was like, he's going to end up dead because I guess they saw him at some like a Texas Rangers game, and he wasn't with the most desirable people, they say, and it's still unsolved to this day, I think.
Oh yeah, there's no. They're just saying, overdose. They're not going to say anything else. But you watch. That's another good Dark Side of the Ring you can watch there.
That killed me when he died though, because I mean I was just like, God, not Gino. Gino was, he was such a good talent, and he's just so sad, so young.
It's like you say, what could have been?
Oh yeah,
what could have been with him? So number 7, another Texas tag team. I guess we're going to go through the whole world class roster. You're going to have the Rock and Roll RPMs up here for long.
Was that the one with Buck Zumhoff? Was that the one?
No. Don't talk about Buck Zumhoff. That guy's locked under the jail right now.
He's the Gary Glitter of wrestling, right?
Yes, he is. Woo! Anyway, number 7 for me, and we talked. I did the intro earlier. For me, it's the New Age Outlaws.
I didn't know.
You better call somebody. But yeah, I remember watching when these two got together. Billy Gunn, of course, he was in the old Smoking Guns. They were a pretty decent tag team with Bart. But I don't know what Bart did, but to get beat up by Butterbean and then have your
Brawl for All. Are you talking about the Smoking Guns?
Yes. But anyway, Billy was actually in a pretty bad setup for him with Honky Tonk Man as his manager, and they called him Rockabilly, and had black hair.
Anybody having to have anything to do with Honky Tonk Man's in a bad situation.
Anybody, when you take Greg Valentine and dyes hair, jet black and call him Rhythm and Blues.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So Honky
Tonk. That was like one guy that I just like. I didn't feel good, hate or like anything for.
Who?
He just was like Honky Tonk Man.
Oh.
I was like, I don't hate the guy and I don't like the guy. I feel nothing for him.
Yeah.
It's just like whatever. But they tried to make him a good guy, and it's like, really? An Elvis impersonator?
He started out in WWE as a good guy. You go look at the promo. He does a promo. I think it's with Magnificent Morocco with an interview, and he's playing babyface. And I'm like,
Magnificent.
This doesn't even look real. But anyway, back to the New Age Outlaws. So
you brought him up, Stevie.
Yeah.
Is he from North Carolina?
No, he's not from North Carolina.
Okay.
I actually did see the Road Dogg at a event in Richmond when he was just Brian Armstrong, and they built him as the guy. No, he wasn't even the Road Dogg. He was just a guy. They said he had just come back from Iraq. I guess he was in the service.
Yeah.
But but when he became the roadie for your buddy Jeff Jarrett, and came back, I think he left. He actually left WWF at the time because of loyalty to Jarrett when Jarrett left, and then he came back and called himself the Road Dogg, and he was babyface for a little while, and then all of a sudden he goes to the ring and starts talking to Rockabilly and tells him he needs to leave. And anyway, Billy Gunn ends up hitting Honky Tonk Man with a guitar, and the next thing you know, they're the New Age Outlaws. One of the best angles WWF, and you guys may disagree with me totally. The best things they did, and I think they were kind of patterning after the backstage attack of the NWO when everybody, they had the whole rescue squad out there. It was so believable. The Mysterio was hurt when Kevin Nash used Mysterio as a human dart.
I know.
But the whole dumpster thing with Mick Foley and Terry Funk
Oh yeah,
when they threw the dumpster off the side, and
that was a good angle.
all the talent came out there and was talking trash to them and all this stuff, and they were actually looking like they were out of character for a minute. We didn't mean to, we didn't know and all this stuff, and then it goes. But I think when they beat the Road Warriors for the belts, and they were calling themselves Outlaws, and as soon as they beat them, they grabbed the belts, they took off backstage, got in the car, took off out of the arena, never looked back. But then I was like, what the heck is going on with these guys? I mean, how did they get over the Road Warriors that quick? But they got the big push, became part of DX.
Is this when Hawk was drinking on camera?
No, that match was, I think at the end they had Billy Gunn up for like the Doomsday. No, they had Road Dogg up for the Doomsday, and Billy Gunn hit Animal with a chair, and it got rolled up, and the referee counted the pin. But anyway, I'll have to read this in a minute. But they go on to win multiple tag team championships. Big member of DX.
They fit in well with DX. They just suited DX.
Oh yeah, I mean, you knew, just like that night when they shaved the Road Warrior's head, and when they left the ring and Shawn Michaels was looking at him like doing like this, like, okay, you knew right then they're going to be part of DX for long, and they fit. It was just a great fit. But Billy Gunn and Jesse James, my number 7 New Age Outlaws. Kyle Barber.
That was
Kyle
funny.
Barber is hold on. Let me get this Kyle Barber comment. We mentioned Greg Valentine earlier. Greg the Hammer Valentine looks like a human Cabbage Patch Kid as a wrestler.
He does. I can't unsee that now.
Yeah. What were you saying, Warden? I'm sorry.
I remember when the New Age Outlaws, they all got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I guess it was DX they were doing, and they were talking about, well, they can't fire me. Oh, Vince will just buy that pissy ass organization. And
Yeah, that was not.
Who would have thought that AEW would outlast Vince?
That's true. It's true.
It's going to be interesting now to see what happens now. Off topic of tag teams, but now with AEW now.
Yeah,
it'll be. I would love like a territory thing to where you kind of had like, there used to be a thing called, it was like AWA back in the day, and they had AWA, NWA. Ric Flair would fight Martel, and
they called it like, gosh, what was it? Because they even did it later on where they were sharing talent because they were trying to compete with WWF.
Well, like even WW when it was WWF. I think it was when Superstar. I mean, like you said, he'd fight Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is a product out of Florida. Yeah, you'd have them mixed, but when McMahon Jr. took over, they just became their own little entity. Yeah,
but
it'll be interesting to see if do you see Jericho face? Maybe Jericho face Cody. You have a a that would be good. I don't know, but
the hard thing is AEW does Ring of Honor and New Japan. So they're already doing the 3-company kind of thing.
I don't think you see it.
Yeah, but is McMahon the big stumbling block to where you can't work with organizations?
No.
The forbidden door. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, but he's not in charge anymore. It's up to Stephanie and Triple H.
Cody's going to talk to Triple H now and go, this is what happens at AEW.
What about the people like Adam Cole and all them that really haven't done anything in AEW? They go back to the WWE now that McMahon's gone because that's the ones McMahon didn't like.
I don't think so.
It's wide open now.
They're getting more money from those shows. They got the WCW contract in AEW.
Yeah. That's the thing right there, Warden. They're getting. Khan is throwing ridiculous amounts of money out.
As long as you keep Brooke Baker on TV, that's fine with me.
Yeah. Just like Bischoff was doing with like when he started with Hall and Nash. They were throwing ridiculous amounts of money to get these guys over there, and it worked for a little while until they got too big for their britches. So, number 6 for Pennachio.
Number 6 for me is the Midnight Express, but it's almost the Heavenly Bodies, Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton combo.
That's the one I picked. Yeah.
Yep. Once again, it's a Jim Cornette thing. You watch Jim Cornette's promo when he did the four matches of death or something? When he does that promo with the Heavenly Bodies. It's just, I don't know, they were just a great combo, those two.
Have you ever watched much of Cornette from Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
I watch a bit on the network, yeah.
Hey, you know, and that's a shame. It's a shame to me that Smoky Mountain didn't stick around longer because they had some good angles going. I think one of my favorite angles they had there was the mystery partner for the Rock and Roll Express, and of all people, I mean, nobody would have ever thought they had the guy under a sheet at ringside, and they're all, you know, the Heavenly Bodies are down there messing with it because it was Lane, Dr. Tom Pritchard, and Eaton at the time. And the Rock and Roll Express were looking for a partner. And I said, I don't know if you've seen this, Warden, but they go out there, Rock and Roll Express, we got our partner right here. And he's got the sheet over him. And of all people, when they take the sheet off, it's Arn Anderson. I mean, Arn Anderson teaming up with the Rock and Roll Express. And to see the look on Cornette, I mean, I didn't know, of course, Cornette knew it. But the look on Cornette's face when he took it off, I mean, that is one of the best reactions you'll ever see. Kyle Barber chiming in again. Thanks, Kyle. The gangsters in Smoky Mountain Wrestling is literally the Attitude Era before the WWE Attitude Era. Yeah, New Jack. Oh, good Lord. He was something else, bud. Rest in peace, New Jack. But yeah, he was something else. But yeah, I was excited about Smoky Mountain because it was so close to what the NWA was back in the Crockett era. But then, you know, it got, I guess Cornette had to do what he had to do and make a deal with the devil with Vince. And I think Smoky Mountain actually started a feud with the USWA for a while. And I don't think that ever went anywhere, but yeah.
Well, it was the USWA.
I'm telling you, guy, Cornette, you put Cornette in charge of an organization, I think he's going to make some. He's got the brain for it, and I mean, he adapts. It's not like he's stuck in that '80s era either. He can
like
adapt.
Michael Hayes.
Yeah, brother, I'm a free bird. Yeah, let's talk. We'll talk a little bit about the Freebirds with him and Jimmy Garvin when they did that awful freaking song back in like 1990. Have y'all ever seen that?
Yeah,
I'm a free bird. Oh my God. I was like, please play Leonard Skinner for me. But I don't want to see that anymore. So, yeah, and number 6, and Pennachio, I'll talk a little bit more about the Midnights in just a few minutes. But yeah, that's going to be our second repeat of the night right there. So, number 6 for Warden. Here we go. Texas born, Texas bred. By God, I'm Texas dead.
This was a toss-up between this and another tag team who they fought a lot of, but I had to give the Rock and Roll Express my top 10. It would have been that was between Arn and Ole, or Arn and Tully, but I went with the Rock and Roll Express because I just loved his angle with Flair, and I love the angle that they just seemed kind of like Flair. They were always out there defending their titles, and they were little guys, and they would get bloody. They were pretty boys, but they would get bloody. And I just, Arn and Tully are they're horsemen, so they're beyond reproach. But Rock and Roll Express, I had to give them because I think that they did a lot for that. They did a lot for wrestling, I think.
Yeah.
Especially bringing in the kind of the newer fans. And God, Ricky Morton's still wrestling to this day.
Oh, I don't know how.
So, but I mean, Rock and Roll Express, they were exciting. Had a great kick-ass theme song, Rock and Roll is King by ELO. And I just liked them. That reminded me because they wrestled in Mid-South. They wrestled in NWA. They were a territory champion. And it was cool seeing them going into the WWE Hall of Fame with Cornette inducting them. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was a good.
But their fights with the Midnight Express were great. Their fights with the Russians were great. Arn and Tully, I mean, great tag team, Rock and Roll Express.
Well, if you look at when I started watching, I'll get a little bit into that in just a few minutes, but probably the first thing that got me into wrestling was Rock and Roll Express. I mean, they had the bandanas, they had the rock and roll music playing. They had ELO's Rock and Roll Was King as their first, until they went to that. Oh, good Lord, Ricky Morton singing Boogie Woogie Dance Song. That was boy. They should have stuck with ELO.
Was as bad as Jimmy Valiant Boogie Woogie when he danced? Was it that bad? Jimmy Boogie Woogie Jimmy Valiant, was it that bad?
He used that Boy from New York City song, didn't he?
I don't know, but he danced. That was like he was.
Oh yeah, it was hard. Woo! I actually at a local event. It's been years and years ago. Boogie Woogie Man was there, and I'm telling you, the guy was like thin. He was no. I mean, he's been around a while. He was trying to sell me and my cousin a wrestling ring. He said, "Yeah, you guys, y'all can learn how to wrestle. I got a ring for sale back here if you want to."
Would you guys put it together at your house or what? Does he come over to your house and put it together?
Have you ever put? Look, I actually put together one of those rings.
Ooh, I bet it's tough.
It's not what you think. I mean, everybody said, "Oh, it's just a trampoline with, no, you got freaking big ass boards underneath everything. You got to stretch it out, do all this stuff to it." I put it together a couple of times working for this local guy Okay, here we go. Kyle Barber chiming in first. Kyle was talking about the USWA Smoky Mountain feud we were talking about. He said it. Smoky Mountain, if it finished after Smoky Mountain went under. Cornette had a backer, a major music producer out of Los Angeles. He said he couldn't think of his name. Told Jim to pull the plug in November '95. That's why Smoky Mountain was on the way out and the feud was finished. But he said about Ricky Morton got more, more women in the Carolinas and Virginia in the '86 and '87, perhaps more than any other human being alive. If you were born during that time, you might want to check your DNA if you're from North Carolina or Virginia. You might have a little bit of Ricky Morton in you.
Kind of like rock stars. Good thing there wasn't social media. He might be in jail right now with Gary Glitter and Rock and Roll Zoomhoff.
Oh, Buck Zoomhoff. What a joke. So, yeah, Rock and Roll Express, I'll talk a little bit more about them later on.
Of course you like them. They're from North Carolina, right?
No, they're from Tennessee.
Same thing.
It's like Oklahoma's the same thing as Texas, right?
That's blasphemy, bro.
Oh, that's
blasphemy.
Maybe I don't like Tennessee either.
You can say Mexico and Texas because we used to be part of Mexico,
Oklahoma.
but don't bring
Oklahoma.
Don't bring Oklahoma.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on before I start really making you mad. Number 6 for me, British Bulldogs.
Yep.
Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy, when they bust on the scene, of course they had been in Calgary for a while and they had actually feuded with each other. But when they got put together and came on the scene in WWE, it was really nothing you'd ever seen like that before. These guys were big, they were agile, and there was nothing they would do. The diving headbutt. I think the way they beat Beefcake and Valentine was Dynamite Kid perched himself on the turnbuckle. Davey Boy grabbed, I think it was Valentine, and just pulled him into him, and he headbutted him just like that. Knocked him. You go back and watch a clip. He knocks him clean off the top turnbuckle and hits, at ringside, and they win the championship that way. But man, those guys were strong. I remember watching Saturday Night's Main Event, and they had like a 2 out of 3 falls match with was it Volkov and Iron Sheik, but. That was who it was. But I hated to see him lose because they were quickly becoming my favorite tag team. And then of course, Dynamite Kid's back issues came into play. I would love to see to get the belts again, but I guess the too many injuries, the Dynamite, and they end up splitting up. Davey Boy goes on to have a pretty successful career on his own. But yeah, Bulldogs for me were pretty good. No longer they were around, they were number 6 on my list.
Bulldogs, man, they talk about sad they're both gone. I mean, they both died pretty young. And I remember reading Bret Hart's book and just Bret Hart talking about just how much of a miserable person Dynamite was.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched that. What's it? Didn't he have Beyond the Ring or what's that?
I think it was something like I can't remember exactly what it was. But
Sad, man. Just
he just sat there and died, man.
Yeah, all the injuries he had and stuff. Bulldogs were great. I liked them. I don't think they didn't really make my list because I don't think they were really around as long.
They
like you
weren't
said.
around like They weren't
But when
around.
they had like Matilda come out, I thought that was cool. And
But they got Bobby Heenan.
yeah, but I remember I can remember when they won. Yeah, Bobby Heenan. When they won the tag team titles on WrestleMania 2, that was just like that was a highlight for me for that. And they were just exciting, and especially like that,
it was something different too.
Quick suplex that Dynamite did. Yeah, that was awesome. And I remember that. And I remember the British Bulldog is just. I always felt so bad for him because he never really. He won the Intercontinental title from Bret. That was probably the highlight of his career. But man, he had that Royal Rumble one, and Shawn Michaels didn't go out. And that was like, how many times did Shawn Michaels do that move to where he was out and came back? Yeah, and I guess the British Bulldog was the first sucker to do that.
But you need to
him to die as young as he did. I mean, it's sad, man. I hate just a couple of tragic cases for a great team, man.
Yeah,
you need to go back and listen to Foley talk about. I think one of his first enhancement matches with the WWF was against the Bulldogs, and I don't know if it was Dynamite or Davey Boy, pretty much superplexing clear across the ring.
Beat the shit out of him, right?
Yeah, and they said when he got to the back, he was like, they were asking, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm great." Foley was like, "Yeah," and I mean, sign of things to come for Foley though.
Yeah, but they said that Dynamite was a real miserable. I mean, Bret Hart talks about it. Yeah.
Kyle, Kyle is like, I mean, I just need to bring Kyle on the video up here. He's chiming in. He said one of the Rougeau brothers knocked Dynamite out with a roll of quarters or brass knucks backstage because of constant harassment.
Yeah, I remember that.
What kind of guy Dynamite was. He was like,
he was an ass, man.
Yeah. So the Bulldogs are my number 6, and now we're getting into the top 5. So what you got, Pennachio?
Number 5. For me, the Rock and Roll Express as well.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, with the feud with the Midnight, once you learn about the Midnight, they just pop up. And I think they were, like I said, one of the first teams to bring in a new fan base for tag teams. And you can see that's where Sean got the Rockers idea from.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They just,
no matter what they say.
Yeah, exactly. And they came out, they looked the same. They looked like a team. They wrestled like a team. And they were just really, really fun.
I used to wear the bandanas and stuff like that. I remember that kind of get those bandanas like that, like what Savage had. Like the leopard print. It wasn't because of Paul Stanley. It was because of the Macho Man, the leopard print. And rock and roll was like that, too. That was kind of the style, though.
Yeah. Did you have the Rock and Roll Express pants like that with the Rock and Roll Express up the side?
No.
Yeah.
I had the mullet, though. I had the Rock and Roll Express mullet.
My brother, it was the guy that told him he could pass when he had his mullet. He could have passed for Robert Gibson. I was like, dude, really? And that ain't the one you want to be looking like.
Yeah, but, and again, like you said, they still wrestle today. I don't know how,
they're actually doing they actually did a farewell match a few weeks back. So
are they
Morton's still wrestling on his own?
Are they the Kiss of wrestling farewell match? No, we're doing.
I will say this about Morton. Morton must have made a deal with the devil because Morton can still do stuff.
Yeah, he's still
in his 60s. That that
and the guy was still smoking. And the guy was still smoking cigarettes up to a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He told Flair on his podcast that he just quit smoking. Like, damn.
And they're still wrestling in the NWA, the Billy Corgan one. A lot. No, it wasn't like
Did they show that down there?
They did on YouTube. They used to put the whole show on YouTube like a week later or something.
Right.
But no, we don't get any of that. We just get WWE.
Because I see Ring of Honor, of course, TNA, and of course AEW and WWE, but I never see NWA.
No, I've seen all YouTube. Online. Yeah, same as the AEW Dark. It's online, but
yeah.
I got rid of my. I got rid of K1. I had a YouTube TV where I could watch. I don't have cable anymore. I just watch, but I have like Hulu and I can watch Raw like a week later. But it's like,
I just record Raw and SmackDown and watch it because that's the only thing we can
watch Raw on YouTube TV.
I don't have YouTube TV. I quit.
Oh, I thought you said you had.
No, you can watch it on Hulu. It's a week later, but you can watch it.
Yeah, because YouTube TV, you can watch it live.
I'd rather have AEW. That's the one I like to watch.
Man. I'd love to have that here. Sadly, we don't. We can watch AEW if we get the Fuel app or Fight TV app.
Yeah,
Fight TV.
Fight.
Isn't that
there's so many damn apps? It's like, guys,
I know. It's like a puzzle.
I do want to get the Fight app for Flair's last match, though.
Yeah.
But it's on a Monday for me, so I won't be able to watch it.
It's the 30th, right? Coming up.
Yep.
31st, I believe.
31st, I think.
You know, it's funny. You watching those promos and the brother, the Charlotte's husband. You never see anything from him. How does he feel about all this?
He's like, Yeah, but actually, that's a pretty good card, Doug, for that match, for Flair's match. I think Devon Eric's
on that
actually
one.
on that.
Yeah.
But there's a good, pretty card. Kyle says the NWA is on the Fight app and YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
So number 5 for you, Warden.
Number 5's a repeat. Brett and Jim, the Hart Foundation.
Oh, nice.
I like the Hart Foundation. I don't know what it was. They were in some kind of battle royal and they kept getting their ass kicked. I don't know which one it was. They were wearing pink, by the way, but they were bad guys. And I just remember Bret Hart coming out like, when he had his sunglasses on and stuff, and Jim Anvil just, messing with his goatee and having Jimmy Hart, man, I thought they were a great tag team. They were great heels. They were a great tag team, great matches with the British Bulldogs. Hart Foundation. That's another repeat. Me and Jack.
Yeah, number 5. So they did not make my list, so we won't get a.
Really?
They were in, but I took them out. Like I said earlier, I put Edge and Christian in their place. I couldn't leave Edge and Christian out.
Number 5 for you, Stevie.
And I'm not going to call them by their WWF name because I liked them better when they were in the NWA, which they still were great. And anytime Orange in any tag team is going to be great. But Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, the Horsemen.
Brainbusters?
Shut up.
Oh, doesn't say that too.
If they had just called themselves the Arn and Tully and gone to WWE, it would have been so much better. But they got hooked up with Heenan, which was great. But
that's Vince. He's got to do crap like that, though.
He did that that's what he does.
He did that with Terry Taylor. He made him a freaking rooster.
A red rooster.
God.
But, I mean, you think about Arn. Arn is probably one of the most underrated wrestlers out there. I mean, as far as promos, he was the one that named the Horsemen pretty much.
He was definitely the enforcer.
You think about how many tag teams he had that were good. Arn Anderson, and except for the Paul Roma, don't mention Paul Roma in there, but him and Tully, him and Bobby Eaton, which is another incredible. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
That was were they the?
They were the Dangerous Alliance. They were the Dangerous.
That was
that's
Regal,
another.
the Blue Bloods. That's right.
No, that was
Regal. That's right.
Eaton just after midnight, except for Horn, Eaton just floated around to tag teams that the Blue Bloods. He had one with Steve Kern called Bad Attitude. Eaton just had no luck after that, but except for with Horn. But the Dangerous Alliance, that's another thing. One of the most underrated factions ever out there. You talk about DX, you talk about the Horsemen, the NWO. Dangerous Alliance, you had Rude, you had Austin, you had Arn Anderson, Zbyszko, but she was Medusa at the time. That's another one. That's another one that Vince screwed up there. He should have just called her Medusa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Arn and Tully, I remember when they teamed and they were in the first Crockett Cup and they lost to the Fantastics, which I thought was nothing but Bill Watts politics there. But then when they got back together the second time, when they started teaming them together, and they beat the Rock and Roll Express after the Midnight Express that interfered. But yeah, Arn and Tully just had that chemistry, and it's a shame that they got cross the logs. Tully's demons, but Arn was always all about business. Yeah, he wasn't like trying to be something he wasn't. The Spine Buster was so great. And the only thing I hate about them going to WWF when they did, I would have loved to seen the feud with the Midnight Express go on a little bit longer because they were having some great promos back and forth. You even got Bobby Eaton to talk. I mean, on some of them, when he told Tully Blanchard, "Get your finger out of my face," he kept calling him a piece of trash. You didn't hear Eaton talk much, but when he was pretty adamant about that. But yeah. Arn and Tully, just a great tag team. And probably my favorite Arn tag team right behind Arn and Bobby Eaton. But, you can't get better than Orange Holy.
I was very unlucky to never win a championship. He should have had
He
something.
is, in my opinion, the most underrated wrestler to never win a world championship. He won the TV belt several. I think it was the guy beat Muda when Muda was on a roll. I mean, he started that whole downfall for Muda, which I think was a stupid move by WCW. Another stupid move by WCW with Muda, but Arn should have won. A U.S. championship or a world championship at least once, because he had it all. He had the ring. He didn't have the flashy looks, but
he was tough. That spine buster was like the best spine buster in the business.
I'll tell you this story. We went to see him. It was like a little spot show in Greenville, and Arn was wrestling Ricky Morton, and there was a group of guys at ringside that was just. From the time Morton got out there, they were just hammering him. They were talking trash to him. And when Arn come out, they just all started bowing down to him. And Morton got thrown outside the ring, and he was walking around outside the ring, and they just started calling him every name you could think of. And Morton doing the whole flip off like that. And Arn was in there laughing his butt off. He was totally out of character. He was just like shaking his head, laughing. But Arn is probably, we did the singles wrestle. Arn was in my top 5. So you can't go wrong with Arn Anderson.
I'll disagree with you. I think Arn should have been good, but the one wrestler that should have been world champion is Jake the Snake. That's my.
I'll give Jake. Jake should.
No, I'm just saying. You said it about Arn. I said it about Jake the Snake.
Jake should have won some. To never win a belt in WWF.
I agree. I can see Arn as the champion.
Jake as well. They
messed Jake up. The thing that messed Jake up is when he did the whole snake pit.
Whose chicken is crowing?
That's mine.
Is that a real chicken or is that your phone?
No, it's a real rooster.
You have a real rooster?
Yeah.
Did he just wake up? We've been on 2 hours. I
know. This is a lunchtime mating call.
Wow. The red rooster. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, oh.
So, but yeah, what were we talking about? See,
Arn. Jake the Snake.
No, Jake. What messed Jake up was and
Ultimate
you won't find it anywhere.
Ultimate Warrior.
No.
Ultimate Warrior.
Not the Macho Man. Macho Man.
No. This is and I don't know if you guys have ever heard this story or not. You may not have heard this. Jake was a heel. And when Roddy Piper went away for a little while, they had to have something to replace
that's right. Hogan.
Piper's pit.
Hogan, sorry.
They had the snake pit. And they filmed it, but they never aired the snake pit with Hulk Hogan coming out there. And Jake and him got into it. Jake ended up DDT and Hulk.
Got booed.
And the crowd went wild.
Yep.
The crowd went nuts. And Vince was like,
kind of like your rooster right there going wild.
I know. Yeah.
There's no way we can air this. There's no way we can have a heel.
That's when he told you got the worst luck in the world. That's right.
That was going to be Jake's next.
But I thought the Warrior too. The Warrior didn't show up too, and the Warrior he was supposed to beat the Warrior, but the Warrior said he wouldn't lose to Jake. So that happened too.
The Warrior was just a Warrior.
Yeah, he was nuts.
Kyle Barber saying Roddy Piper should have been a world champion.
I agree. Totally.
Agree with that too.
That could be a good list. Wrestlers who should have
that may
been
be something. We're talking about theme songs and wrestlers that should have been world champions.
Top 10 ballets.
I'm sure you'll say some what was Jacqueline was called Miss Texas one time, wasn't she? So you probably say
Jackie,
her.
That probably no.
Yeah.
Jack had to put up with every week hating of Texas, man.
I didn't hate
our own country. God.
Well, at least I didn't call the sheepherders from Australia. I mean, geez.
I explained why.
Yeah, but Jack takes credit for that because he said they're good, so they might as well be.
Whackers. Woo. Anyway, number 4 for Pennachio.
Number 4 for me. Number 4 is in like a really good spot, and it goes off the whole faction Arn Anderson thing. That's the 4 Horsemen for me.
4 Horsemen. So
yeah,
I'm going to count that as
okay. I thought that we can't do that.
Well, I asked. I did ask.
I asked you, Stevie. You said it had to be established tag teams. That would be
what? Oh, they are established tag team.
no, but
if he's
that's
saying Arn and
no,
Tully,
that's Arn and Tully. Is
Okay,
that what
can
you
we
mean
not
by
say-
Arn and Tully?
can we not say the Freebirds then either?
No,
Why not?
they're two team members. This isn't Freebird tag team rules to where any person can go in there and do it.
Now I did say the Freebirds. There was a Freebird.
But you're thinking Michael Hayes and Jimmy Rott and Jimmy Garvin.
No, it could be Michael Hayes.
You
and
can't
Terry
say the
Gordy.
Four Horsemen because that's not a tag team.
That's
I mean,
a
there's
group.
no four-man tag team champion, 2-man tag team champion.
Look,
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying,
a bit of a grey area.
I'm saying it will.
Well, no, I asked Stevie this, and he said no.
Did
It had
you?
to be tag
No,
team.
the way I said. Now they are established tag teams. They
Yeah,
got
but they're
tag
not
teams there.
a tag team. They're a faction.
I
like you
said somebody that teams up for like one night and wins the championship, like Michaels.
But they're not a tag team. They don't wrestle as a tag team.
They do have tag teams in the Horsemen.
Yeah, but it's got to be one.
Arn and Tully.
Yeah, if he said Arn and Tully, but he said Four Horsemen, you can't say that.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to your number.
The Von Erichs.
The Von
That
Erich.
wasn't mine. I didn't pick
Number
that
9.
one.
Okay,
Jack
well,
did.
what's wrong with that? You didn't say anything about the Von Erichs.
Yeah, it was Kevin and Kerry. That's the most prominent one.
I
That's what
mean, but
figured.
did David not? Was David not a member of the Von Erichs?
No, they didn't win a tag team.
No, hold on. No, that ain't what we said.
No,
though.
you can't have it both ways. When you
David?
say
David,
okay, no. If we said
Mike?
faction, we said faction. We're not saying faction. We're saying tag teams.
David,
There
Mike,
are two
Kevin,
people in a
Kerry.
tag team. No,
Hold on. David,
No.
Mike, Kevin, Kerry.
No.
Arn, Tully, Ole.
we were
Arn.
talking prominently about Kevin and Kerry.
4 and 4.
No, you can't do
we're
that. That's not a tag team.
Hold on. Did you ever say Kerry and Kevin Pennachio?
Yeah, that's the two we were talking
I
about.
said the
Von
Von Erichs,
Erich.
but I was with Kerry.
And Kevin.
Yeah.
That's
But
who
I
you
also-
said. When
just
you say Four Horsemen, you say
we'll
Four
say Arn
Horsemen.
and
That's 4
Tully.
people.
we'll just say Arn and Tully then.
That's
Well,
just saying.
well,
Hey,
To
no.
be honest, I did write it down. I actually wrote down Tully and Arn,
So,
but I
there you
also
go.
said them as a group. But
yeah, I mean,
I
there's
would've-
nothing
you can't
wrong
do
I
with
would've
that.
No, that's
If I
not a
did-
tag team.
no, but
That's
if
a
I did,
faction.
I would have picked Arn and Tully hands down.
Sorry. But I asked you this
Okay.
question before, and you
Arn
said
and
no, they had
Tully.
to be tag team.
Arn and Tully. So that's a repeat there. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
saying Arn and
it's
Tully.
definitely
now.
repeat. Like I said, I did write it down. Arn and Tully.
So that's what
Thank
that
you.
was the tag team for the Horsemen there with Arn
Yeah.
and Tully.
Thank you.
But
Thank
I do like.
Even though
Because
even though
I
Von
do-
Ole and Arn.
Von Erichs had 4.
No,
But
but-
I do
Or
like.
actually 5
I
Von
am a
Erichs.
Four Horsemen fan.
Oh, I do too. I like them too.
But if I had to, it would have been Arn and Tully, hands down.
Okay.
That's all that I asked.
Number 4 for Warden.
Four Horsemen for Warden.
Believe me. I hope it's not anybody that's got. Don't say NWO or the Outsiders.
What is
Outsiders
that?
too.
What is that thing in the AEW now? The Dark Order. I want all of them. That's my
Yeah,
team.
you want all of them.
Not my number 4. Ricky and Scott Steiner brothers.
Yeah.
I like,
Jeez,
and this
I
is
can't
probably
believe you put
more
that one.
of a nod to not Scott Steiner's own thing, but Rick Steiner. He used to be in a thing in the Mid-South with Sting. They used to be tag team. UWF.
Mhm.
But I like when the Steiner brothers got together, it was great, especially when they were fighting the NWA or the NWO. And there was one time where they were driving in the car, and Kevin,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
Nash, Hall, and
Ran 'em off the road.
X-Pac were there, and they were trying to run 'em off the road, and you see the car flip and like crash. And of course, Scott Hall's filming this, and he's like, "Hey man, you think we should stop?" Kevin Nash is like, "Hell no, let's get out of here."
No, let's get out of here.
Yeah. Now, I like that. I like before Scott Steiner became a genetic freak.
Yeah,
kinda
for a big
like
papa.
another Brian Pillman, too overacting.
The
But
thing with
Steiner brothers were a great team, especially like out of Michigan. Just great tag team.
because Scott started off, where was it Memphis when he got his start there? And I think that's when USWA was around. It was kind of Texas and Memphis combined. And, you saw him progressing. And then all of a sudden he shows up at I want to say it was it Chi-Town Rumble? He showed up and went ringside with Rick, and then the next thing you know, they're tag. Rick loses the TV belt back to Rotunda, and they're a tag team.
So they had a run in the WWF too, didn't they? Yeah, they did.
The thing with WWF back then, when the Steiners came along there, they didn't establish a champion back then because Money Inc. with DiBiase and Erwin R. Scheisser or Rotunda, they were the champions, and then in like 2 weeks, the belt would change hands like 4 times in 2 weeks. And
good booking
I'm like, please, I mean, keep the belts on them for a little while, but they're. I don't think they enjoyed their stay in WWF as the Steiner brothers, but
they had a good. I watched the induction this last April, and Scott Steiner was actually. I mean, you never hear Rick talk, and they were both. That was and I guess one of their sons is Rick's son is
Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Man, he got away with a Macho Man story. I don't know how he got that out.
What now?
I think it was Scott. He was telling a story about Macho Man in his Hall of Fame speech, and you could just see like the McMahons going, "Please make him stop." So I think there's still hate with.
Was he
Macho
talking
Man.
about him banging Stephanie when she was married?
Well, Vince is just going to take over our podcast now, but he's trying to keep that a secret for so long. It's the worst kept secret in the world.
I don't think that happened. I think that's bullshit.
Nah, I don't. Nah. But it's just amazing to me that like 2 years before at the Hall of Fame induction, they had a picture up there of Scott Steiner for security saying, "Do not let this man in." And then 2 years later, they're inducting him in the Hall of Fame. But he kept his cool pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of like the whole WWF thing, I was listening to Jeff Jarrett's podcast, and he was saying when the Steiners came through, they wanted to work Japan, but at the time, WWF didn't want them. They said either stay here or not. And that's when they stayed with WCW and did Japan as well. Because they were making more money in Japan with less time.
Yeah. Here's another secret. Kyle Barber's coming out saying, "I thought Stephanie was banging Andre." I was like, "Good gosh, that's horrible." There, no, I think he's joking. I hope he's joking about that. I've never heard that.
Any woman that banged Andre, God,
Jesus,
wow.
He has a daughter, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's got a daughter. So
every time I think of Andre, I always think of him in the $6 Million Man. Just man,
yeah,
can you imagine seeing that shit in the woods? Oh my God.
Number 4 for me. It's a repeat. All 3 of us have had this one. Midnight Express.
All right.
I just remember, and just like Pennachio said, it's all Cornette could just make any feud that much better. I mean, he had the feud with the Rock and Roll Express. That's when it first started. Then with America's Team, when he had the big feud with Baby Doll, I mean, you think about this, what he did with the tennis racket to Baby Doll hit her there, and they were talking about she might not have kids again. I mean, if they did this day and time, this guy Cornette would be lynched somewhere. And there was plenty of times that Cornette, you listen to him talk about when they were in the middle of especially the feud with Rock and Roll Express. I remember a story. He was talking about they acted like they had the formaldehyde in the thing and took out Morton. And he was like, people were looking for us. They were following us down the road, and we were like scared for our lives.
What lineup do you like? What's your lineup?
Huh? Oh, mine's Lane and Eaton. I mean, it's not Condrey. A lot of people say
we all 3 like Stan Lane.
Yeah, I mean, Stan Lane. Condrey was tougher, but Lane was more athletic and had better moves to me. I mean, he could do the whole.
They were smoother. They were more finesse with Lane.
But let me say this about it, and this is a credit to Eaton too, to Eaton and Lane. When they, when the whole thing went down, and they switched I think it was right before the Crockett Cup in '87. Those guys weren't together like a few weeks, and they advanced all the way to the semifinals of the Crockett Cup, and you couldn't tell there was any. I mean, they look like they've been teamed together forever. But Bobby Eaton is just a great tag team wrestler. Stan Lane is good too.
I remember my first wrestling magazine I ever bought. It was Pro Wrestling Illustrated. It had the Fabulous Ones and the Rock and Roll Express on there talking about, are they going to change partners? Oh, and I remember that happening, and it ended up being the Midnight Express changed partners with.
So, Robert Matthews, who's a listener of the podcast for a long time, he's a big wrestling fan too. He's like best entrance song ever by the Midnight Express. And Kyle Barber saying Stan Lane is just like Vince McMahon, Linda McMahon, and Lodi. They all went to school at ECU. Yep, I'm an ECU fan. Warden, Texas sucked, but ECU is great.
See what I got to put up with? See, jealousy, just jealousy.
Jealous. What have I got? We had a better record than y'all. We went to a bowl game this year. Y'all didn't.
Yeah, but we're rebuilding, dude.
Oh,
talk to me in a year.
You're about like the Baltimore Ravens. There's a guy saying Baltimore Ravens been rebuilding for 20 years. We're rebuilding, man. This is
I can't wait for football talk to start soon. I follow NFL, so I'm happy. I'm excited.
Well, who you pull for in the NFL, Pennachio?
I'm LA Rams, and not because they won. I'm a fan since the greatest show on turf, like 23 years now.
I can go with that. I'm a Steelers fan.
You're just anybody that's not the Cowboys, Stevie. That's all. Whatever.
Well, I mean, he may have been a Cowboys fan at one time. He just got tired of sucking so much that he decided he wanted to go to a team that won.
So he wouldn't be a Steeler fan either. So
what's the running joke with Cowboys? It's always their year. Is that what it is? No. Honestly,
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Or either
pretty much. I admit it.
What's the one about the goal line? The joke about the goal line.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes.
But they all try to get down and sniff it.
Like the one where they can't play together because you can't have 5 felons in one area. Yeah, I've heard them all. Yeah. Steve. I mean, Stevie and me give each other a hard time, but I'm a diehard. I'll joke with them and stuff, but they're still my team. I'm not a bandwagon. There are a lot of Cowboy fans that are bandwagon.
Yeah.
But they start winning again. You'll see Cowboys start winning again. You'll see how many jump in the wagon.
Well, y'all can win during the regular season. It's just when y'all get to like December, it's like, oh, we forgot how to play football, or we forgot how to coach.
I follow the Rams when we were like
the thing about it is that there's a lot of teams that do that, but we get the most spotlight because our owner is the biggest jerk in football. So
y'all wanted to be America's team. We turned it down.
Oh, give me a break. Get over
That's
yourself.
The story.
That's the story.
That's
the story. Keep telling yourself that, Stevie.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, we were not America's team. We're the world team.
Look over my shoulder over here. You'll see my whole freaking.
Steelers. He don't even live in Pittsburgh. He's not even anywhere near Pittsburgh. But they're. I'll go start cheering.
Hold on. Hey, Pennachio.
Shouldn't you follow the Panthers?
I know, right?
I follow.
Yeah.
I was a Steelers.
If they start winning, he'll really start following them.
I was a Steelers fan in like '79 when I was like 5 or 6 years old. So
he never grew up.
Around to '95.
So how'd that turn out? How'd that turn out for you last time we met in the Super Bowl? How'd that turn out for you?
Well, when y'all paid Neil O'Donnell.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, well. Look, hold on a second.
Surprised you didn't ask for a recount, Stevie.
Hold on a second. Hush for a second. You said I'm nowhere near Pittsburgh. Pennachio, how far away are you from Los Angeles?
Why are you ragging on Jack for, man? Come on, dude.
No, I'm just saying, why didn't you say that to him?
Because I like him. I like the Rams.
Okay, you don't like me.
I like the Rams.
Kyle Barber is saying football trash talk by Pennachio is awesome. So, yeah. He's about an Australian is awesome. So, yeah.
So you consider it football and not something else? Because isn't Australian soccer in that big down there?
We've got 3 codes of football. We have soccer, but if I watch NFL, I'll just call it football.
How do you get NFL down there? You got to buy a.
No, so we've got a thing like a cable box, so we get ESPN.
Okay.
But we don't get because you can watch every game on Game Day, can't you?
Yeah.
We can only watch one, unless I buy an ESPN pass and watch on my computer. So, but we only get 2 games live, but we might get like the 30-minute recap of every game.
See, I think Stevie, I need to move to Australia so I don't have to watch the Cowboys lose.
Hey, you said it, I didn't.
Oh, I joke about them bigger than anybody.
Yeah, I know. You're a good sport about it.
Oh yeah,
So-
you have. All I got is jokes. That's all I got.
Yeah. Number 3 for Pennachio.
Number 3 already. All right, going back into the early thousands with the Hardy Boys.
All right, another repeat.
Just because that's the team that they plastered on TV when I was out, the must-see tag team. They were nearly main eventing every match. Like I said, the High Fly and Jeff and Matt, TLC matches. They came out together looking like a team. Then they were managed by Lita. It was just great. Like
Team
the young
Extreme.
boys from Cameron, North Carolina.
Yep. So that is actually so far. We've got 4. Me and you've got 4 repeats so far. We said we were going to get it 4, and I think we're going to have another one too.
We got 4 for 4 so far.
Yeah,
Jason and yourself with me.
and we've actually, me and Warden, you and Warden have 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4 as well. So we're pretty. Warden, you want me to give you number 3?
My number 3. Great theme song.
Oh, jeez.
And probably not I don't know, Jack, if you've heard of this team, but they were kind of more of a local talent, world class. They're not from Texas.
Oh my gosh.
The Fantastics. That was like one of my favorite. They were one of my favorite teams because they were in world class. They were in Mid South. I think they did a run in NWA for a while.
Yeah, they were. They were U.S. Tag
Another team that I thought should have went to the WWE, but they never made it to the WWE.
I don't think they would have fit in. They fit in with WCW.
They would have probably fit in the late 80s when you had like the Flying Bees or Killer Bees. I think they would have done okay. Flying Killer Bee, whatever they're called.
I had the great privilege of interviewing Bobby Fulton twice. And he actually shared a story with me that I did not know, and I was shocked to hear. And I don't know if I've shared this with you, Warren, or not. Near the end, before the whole thing got messed up when Robert Gibson left the NWA because of, I think it was he always had problems with their
Robert
pay.
Gibson?
He left and left Ricky Morton there, but Ricky Morton was there by himself for a while.
Yeah.
Before he ended up leaving. But the plan was the Rock and Roll Express, I think they were feuding with the Sheep Herders. And the Fantastics were gonna like make a run in like to save the Rock and Roll Express, but they were gonna turn heel on the Rock and Roll Express.
Really?
And be managed by Paul Jones. So that would have been interesting because, you'd finally had the Rock and Roll Express versus the Fantastics. And people were talking about that for a while. That was one of the, well, how would they do if they faced each other? But that was kind of interesting to me. That would have been something I would have liked to see. A heel Fantastics.
I remember,
great interview I had with him twice. And he's had some health issues, but he's doing pretty good now, I think.
I remember watching WWE. I don't know if it was in the mid-90s, but they had Tommy Rogers, the other guy. He was a jobber. Yeah. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
They broke them up, and I guess they were never as big as kind of they were here probably in Texas in the South.
No, they had a great feud because, like I said, the Rock and Roll Express left, so that changed everything. Well, no. I'm saying that wrong. This was earlier. But when they showed up in WCW or NWA, they had a great feud with Midnight Express. Over the U.S. tag belts, where, they did the whole put Cornette in a cage in a straitjacket and lifting him up over the ring, and somehow Bobby Eaton managed to get a chain and ended up. I think that was a Great American Bash '88, but. They had, and then the whole Clash of Champions one where Cornette lashed him, hit him with the whip.
Why are we talking about the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express when it's the Fantastics is the pick?
I'm talking about the Fantastics, bud.
You keep saying Robert. You keep saying Bobby Eaton.
Bobby
You
Eaton's
say-
in the Midnight Express.
I know. Why are we not talking about the Fantastics?
I'm talking about the feud with the Fantastics.
Okay, because I don't remember
And
the
they had
Fantastics in the WCW that long, right?
They were in there. They came in 88,
Mhm.
and they stayed there for a while. They won the U.S. tag belts twice. They
Okay.
won in a tournament the second time. Then they ended up losing to Dr. Death and Kevin Sullivan.
Sorry,
at 88.
sorry, you kept talking about Jim
I wasn't
Cornette.
talking
Yeah,
about
my
the-
bad,
I
my
was
bad, my
talking
bad.
about- When I was talking about the Rock and Roll Express, I was actually talking about the Fantastics were going to turn heel on the Rock and Roll Express, but Robert Gibson left.
But we see we have to do this whole around the world thing.
Try to follow along, Warden. I know
Cliff
you're
Notes
from
version, please.
I know
Cliff
you're from
Notes
Texas,
version,
but
please.
I know you're from Texas, but still.
Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes.
So where are we at now? Where you just said number 3. So
Also with the Fantastics, I love their sharp dressed man. They'd come to the ring with that. I think, before Greed took over and you couldn't use other artists' songs and stuff. That was the 80s, yeah.
You couldn't rob the artist of that.
Yeah, and you watch them now, like you watch the old stuff on the network,
terrible.
or Peacock, and they take the Rush and ZZ Top songs out of there. You're like,
Yeah.
they came
There's a lot of
to
songs
the
that
ring
take
with
me
no
out.
music. Wow, imagine that.
No, but the worst thing, I'd rather hear no music than the music they replace it with sometimes. Oh my
they
God,
do.
it's horrible. So, number 3 for me
Yes, sir.
is there a repeat again for both of you guys, Rock and Roll Express. I think Morton was just a great seller, and
Yeah,
Gibson fit the role of being there with Morton. The double drop kick, I mean, in this day and time, double drop kick would be, they would laugh at that right now, like, oh, that's a finishing move, really? But yeah, it was pretty awesome back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
They fused with the Horsemen. Sorry, Warden, I didn't say that. But fused with, well,
Shut
it was
up.
it was the Horsemen because they all beat him up backstage.
Yeah, because you had 4-on-2. Exactly. Thanks for proving my point.
Well, I mean,
4-on-2.
well, maybe they should have fought the Von Erichs. Oh no,
Maybe they should have got a couple more members. Who was Nikita and Dusty busy or what?
Or they, now,
Just
they-
make
Was
them
it
the Rocky
was it the
Russian
Horseman
connection.
with Double J? Was that the one? How Double J thinks he was in the Horseman?
yeah, that's right. Double J,
Double J,
manga.
Double J.
I like Double J. I really do.
I never did.
JEFF JARRET.
He was the
Remember
Milli Vanilli of wrestling.
Oh yeah, they did that whole angle. But so you had Harlem Heat up there. You remember when Big T joined Harlem Heat?
Harlem
Yeah,
Heat
but I-
2000.
Yeah,
Dude, move on, dude. The
3
past
of
is
them.
the past.
that was 3 of them.
Move on.
It's 3. Anyway, Rock and Roll Express. I mean, 4-time tag team champions of the world in
That's it? Wow. I thought there'd be more.
Actually, you sit there. You go look up on YouTube and look at their win over Rude and the Raging Bull. That actually wasn't for the tag belts. They put Rude left. Rude just decided, I'm going to WWF. He left. And that match is actually a 2 out of 3 falls match. So they got a pin. Because you notice at the end, they put it where they just showed the Rock and Roll Express getting their hands raised. They never give them the belts, but they put new
Psych.
World Tag Team Champions. So, yeah, it never happened. But would they beat the Russians? Remember, have you ever watched the match? It was like the first match they had in NWA where they fought the Russians for like an hour on TV. In that little gym, it's like in Shelby, North Carolina. It was like, they said it was like 95 degrees in the gym, and they wrestled for like an hour.
Wow.
And they beat the Russians for the belt. And that the rest was history there. But
I was always confused why the Russians had to be bald. It's like every Russian was bald,
well, I mean, it was
why?
just
I mean,
stereotype. It
I
was
could be a
stereotype.
Russian now, I mean,
Yeah, you could play a Russian.
yeah.
But then Nikita grew hair when you remember that? He was a baby face.
You talk about another could have been big.
Who?
Nikita.
I had an interview with Nikita. Nikita was a great guy. I mean, he talked a lot about
He got religious, right? And that's why he quit.
no, that wasn't why he quit the first time. First time he quit because his wife got sick. His wife got
really?
Hodgkin's disease, and
Wow.
he left and came back. I think he came back and went to the AWA first, and then he came back as a heel in WCW. But yeah,
He went to the AWA. Ouch.
he fought Zabisco when Zabisco was the champion there. He fought Zabisco, couldn't beat him. But yeah,
That's somebody that I thought that probably could have transformed over from his having the same gimmick, being the Russians, join like maybe the Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. That would have been pretty cool.
the best thing about Nikita was the funniest thing about Nikita, of course, was the wardrobe malfunction at Starrcade '86. When I don't know if you know it. Do you know about that, Pennachio?
No.
You need to go back if you get a chance and watch Starrcade '86. Flair and Nikita. Flair suplexes Nikita, and you know Nikita wore that like singlet or whatever, or that thing, and you know at the bottom it was kind of flimsy, and all of a sudden Nikita's package pops out.
Is that when the one where the ref taps it back in?
He pushes it back in.
Yeah,
Tommy
yeah,
Hill
yeah.
pushes it back in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wait a
First-
minute, Stevie. You think that's the best part of
No,
Nikita?
that
Koloff?
wasn't the best thing. That was the funniest thing. The best thing about Nikita was the
No, I don't want to
Magnum-
hear. I don't want to hear about. I want to hear like maybe Missy Hyatt,
Magnum.
not
the feud
Nikita
with Magnum-
Koloff. You know,
Well, the feud with Magnum when they did the press conference, and Magnum brought his mom, and Nikita talked trash about Magnum's mom, and Nikita told me in an interview that Magnum's mom thought it was real.
really.
Yeah, and he was like, when
This
he
before
jumped up-
Magnum was hurt when they were fighting.
No, this was they signed a contract for that Best of 7 series.
So Magnum was still fighting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, she thought it was real. And when you look at her reaction, and after he told me that, I looked at her reaction. She's like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Oh, geez." Magnum should have told his mom that she could have had a heart attack.
Yeah, but
But,
you gotta. I mean, theater's the best seller, man. Come on.
Yeah, but the Rock and Roll Express, you can't go wrong with Rock and Roll Express.
That's on our 3 of our lists too. Is that the
yeah.
first one?
That's the first triple,
No.
I think.
No, we
What's
had
the
the
first triple?
Midnights.
Oh, Midnight. Okay.
We all had the
Midnight, yeah.
Midnights.
Okay.
And rock and roll.
So
The Expresses. All right.
Yeah.
the
there you go.
Expresses. Number 2.
Number 2 for me is Hall and Nash, the Outsiders.
Oh, you didn't
You
say
called it.
NWO.
You called it, Stevie. You were
Didn't
right.
say NWO.
I was, but
Warden won't have a
You
stroke.
gotta have a tag team. It's not
Gotta
the
have a tag
same.
team. I actually did write the Outsiders on this one, but
Thank you.
NWO fan. But yeah, it was the Outsiders that started it for me. They
NWO
were,
could have been Disco and freaking what? Who's that other guy?
Conan.
Yeah, Conan
no.
and Disco.
but they were the original bad guys,
Yeah, oh,
they
yeah.
came out. Like back then, no internet, you didn't know what was happening. Like, why are these guys in WCW?
Right.
What is happening?
God, that
and
was
then I said,
great.
this is where the big boys play. We're
Yep.
going to raise the bar.
I remember
Where's the
that
bar?
night. That night Hall came out there.
Yeah.
I was like, holy
You
crap.
know who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who I am.
Yeah, we did our top 10 wrestlers, and Kevin Nash is he's one of my favorites. And when he was talking about, because I mean, if you watched WWE, you knew they were going over there. You knew that
Yeah.
Diesel, but if you were like a WCW and
Yeah.
didn't really pay attention to WWF, like, oh, what are these guys doing here?
Like,
But
did the
you knew
first
that
shot.
Nash was coming. But I mean, when they threw Hogan in the mix, that was really great.
Yeah.
But I mean, oh yeah, Outsiders were great. I loved how Scott Hall came out with his popcorn and his ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit was great, man.
Just
I
a
love
fan.
that.
Just a
they talk about
Hey,
the-
yo.
Yeah,
Another
But,
one. What
yeah.
the survey says? Another one for the bad guys.
you know, and it's funny
Another
about
one for the
Scott.
good guys.
It's funny about Scott Hall. He used to be in AWA with Kurt Hennig,
Tag team champion.
and I remember him, and I remember telling me, hey, you know what, Razor Ramon, that's Scott Hall. And I'm like,
Oh, he was in.
but Razor Ramon's Mexican or like Hispanic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, he's still a white guy that was in. I mean, but he changed his person so much. I didn't
He
even
had
realize it was the
changed a
same
lot.
guy.
Now
I didn't realize that was the same guy.
he left the AWA. I don't know where he was. Somewhere in between he went. And then he came to WCW in '89. He was Scott Hall.
Diamond Stud.
It was Scott Hall first because he had the mustache and everything. And then I think DDP and him got together. DDP came on as a manager. And then he got together. They changed him to the Diamond Stud. And that's where Razor came from. Razor was the Diamond Stud. I mean,
Apparently, DDP gave him the idea for the toothpick as well.
yeah.
Kind of a
We've got
Scarface,
a,
Scarface character.
Yeah. And same with the click this podcast that Nash was saying. When he used to walk around town, Hispanics used to come up to him and speak Spanish. He's like, dude, I'm not even Spanish. I don't even speak Spanish.
He was feuding with he was feuding with Owen Hart one time, and one of the funniest segments, Owen Hart sitting there and he's sitting down and he's like on his chair and he's talking to somebody, and my dad taught me, and then out of nowhere, Scott Hall, did your dad teach you that, Chico? I mean, that was just so funny. God, he was great as Scott Hall as Razor Ramon, and then with Kevin Nash, they were being Diesel and Scott Hall in the NWO, but it's like the WWE tried to sue them for that. It's like,
they had to tell their real. They were trying to be Diesel and Razor, but they weren't really saying their names. But the night at Great American Bash, when they come out, when the night they beat up Bischoff, they made them, you hear Bischoff say, you work for WWF, and they both said no. And they made them say that. I mean, that was legally, they had to say that night. But
and you heard about that. What they happened too is when they didn't have contracts, I guess, and so they were going to bring back the fake Diesel and the fake Razor.
Yeah.
So they ended up giving Hall and Nash like more money. Like, okay, like they played it off.
Well, they actually ended up having a fake Diesel and fake Razor because fake Diesel was Kane.
But Bischoff paid them more money because they didn't have a guarantee. They weren't on a contract.
Yeah.
And they just went along with it, and they got paid a lot more.
So
if you can get it.
We actually have a fellow Loudcaster that's commented now. Brian Crizel. He said, "I'm going to listen later, my people. Throwing out my favorite tag teams. So don't get mad, Warden, if Sting and Lex Luger.
Oh, that was an honorable mention for me.
Good.
That was 11.
Harlem Heat.
Good.
Too Cool.
3. Doesn't count.
Rikishi was an actual member.
Oh my gosh, he came and danced with him every time in the ring. Kane and X-Pac. And this is going to get Warden fired up here. And last but not least, the Rock and Sock Connection. Go on, Brian. We love you, Brian.
Jason agreed on. You wanted that one. That counted.
I like the Rock and Sock Connection.
Yeah.
You did not. You said
I did. You were saying that couldn't happen because they weren't together long enough.
Not like the Rock and Sock Connection.
That was your rules, not mine. But obviously, you don't follow your own. So
I agree with the Lex and Sting one. That was number 11 for me.
You gotta love that about. I read that interview that like when Sting and Luger used to be real bad on the road, and I guess Sting got saved. He went and told his wife everything, and I guess Lex Luger's wife, whoopsie.
She told everybody.
Yeah, it's like
so. But yeah, one of the best matches you'll see out there, Super Brawl 1, Luger and Sting versus the Steiners.
Yeah,
that was pretty awesome there. But appreciate it, Brian. Like I said,
for listening.
So number 2, Pennachio.
The Outsiders.
You already got it. That's right.
Yep.
My bad. I didn't write it down. So now. Number 2 tag team in Texas for Warden.
Well, close.
Oh, God. Oklahoma.
One of them is from, he used to live here. He don't live here no more.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I like this team so much is because one of them became probably my number 2 favorite wrestler of all time, and that's the Rockers. I remember watching them in AWA. And it seemed like every week they'd fight Buddy Rose and that other guy,
Doug Summers.
Yeah, and they would always fight them. And Sherry Martel was with them,
Rose and Summers.
And the Rockers. I remember Shawn Michaels fighting here, like when he's in World Class and in Southwest Championship Wrestling. And the Rockers taking off. They went to WWE for a brief spell.
Yeah, they got kicked out.
Yeah, and then when they broke up and Shawn Michaels turned heel, probably the second greatest heel turn of all time is when Jannetty tried to escape.
Yeah.
Hogan being number 1, of course, in my book with the NWO.
That's another episode. There's several heel turns. There's one heel turn that I would put up there probably above Jannetty and Michaels. but I'm not saying right now because that's for a future episode.
Michael's
but
heel turn
rockers
was
were
good.
great.
You never saw it. Well, for me as a kid, you never saw it come. I didn't,
No.
but the super kick heard around the world through the barbershop.
What about we all talk about imitation is the best form of flattery. Young Bucks. What's your thoughts on the Young Bucks?
All right.
I'm not a fan.
Hey, who was that team in the AEW that Tully Blanchard was? They're coming down to the Midnight
FTR.
Express. Yeah, they're coming
Yeah,
down.
They're
to the
really
Express.
good.
I
They're
saw
really
them.
good.
I saw them as Dash and as the revival.
Young Bucks, they just seem that they don't really wrestle that much, it seems like. Or they don't hold
I
the
think
tag
they're
team.
They're a mixture of every tag team ever
Yeah.
created.
They got the
they're
bandanas
okay.
going. Yeah.
They wouldn't
I
last
was-
in WWE.
When they first started, I was like, okay, I can get into it, but I don't know what it is, but the more I watched them, the more they're, you can't do with so many super kicks. I mean, I know they got to do the whole super kick party, but you can't do with so many super kicks and have it be effective. Like you're taking away from your move. But anyway, I mean, I used to be a fan, but like I said, for FTR, I'm a big fan of them. They are like old school guys. FTR, they used to be the Revival. Yeah. You know what FTR stands for, don't you?
Yeah.
You, Gordon?
It was a shot at WWE at the time.
Yeah. They used to be called the Revival. Think about it. FTR.
Fabricate the Revival, right?
Exactly.
I won't
Fabricate
use
the
that word
Revival. Yeah. So the Rockers are your number 2. All right. Number 2 for me, and this is going to be another, well, me and Warden both have this. Steiner Brothers.
That surprises me. I'm surprised.
Why?
I just never really hear you talk about. I mean, especially as high as number 2, I didn't see that coming. I must admit.
I was a big Steiner fan. I mean,
I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. That kind of,
like I said, not a Big Papa Pump, but Scott Steiner
Rick Steiner too.
When every week it was like he would come out with this like move that you had never seen before. The tilt-a-whirl,
the
the
moonsault.
Frankensteiner.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. I mean,
it's amazing how they did that. They never hurt anybody. I mean,
then the bulldog off the top rope.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember watching these guys, and they were known for really roughing up folks. But I think it was it Wrestle War 92 or 91? There was a team from Japan that came over there, and there was a young Japanese guy that they were wrestling. He was supposed to be up and coming. They beat him up bad. I mean, his eye was like puffed out. He was bleeding. And they had a veteran Japanese guy, which I'm not good with the Japanese guy's name, but he was trying. You could tell he was trying to like get stiff with them too. But man, they beat the crap out of that kid. He wasn't a big kid either, but they beat the crap out of him. But when they finally beat the Freebirds for their first tag belt, then I think they lost to Doom. The Doom lost to the Freebirds. They beat the Freebirds again. I think that's how it went. But anyway, it all changed when Scott got hurt by the who was it? Dick Murdoch and Dick Slater. They called themselves the Hardliners, and Scott hurt his arm. After that, it kind of everything changed as far as Scott. He started doing, and of course Scott was getting bigger all the time. I'm not saying anything else about that, but there was some rage issues. I'll put it that way. But they had a good run. I mean, they had a great run. I mean, they won WWE, WWF Tag Championships, the NWA Tag Championships multiple times. I'm not sure if they ever won the ECW. They were in ECW for a short time. I don't know if they won that, but
you were mentioning the wrestling. You said Wrestle War.
Yeah.
Who the hell came up with that name? You talk about mailing it in. Let's do Wrestle War.
Hey, buddy. And the
Wrestle War.
I came up with
Stargate. Did they pay like a
Stargate too?
Did they pay a firm millions of dollars to come up with that? Let's do
That
Wrestle
was
War.
Dusty. Dusty came up with that. Stockade. I came up with Stockade.
Arcade's one
Great
thing. That's
American Bash.
iconic. But
Wrestle
Wrestle War?
War.
Or what was the one in AWA, Russell Rock? Remember that?
That was
I think-
AWA. Yeah,
I think
Wrestle
Buck
Rock.
Zumoff was at that
That
one.
was
wasn't he?
look. That was so bad one year. Was it?
Wrestle
No,
Rock.
it was, maybe no. It was Super Clash. It was so bad one year that there was a. This tells you how AWA didn't have their
Horrible.
act together. They were horrible. There was a match going on at the end of the pay-per-view. They were right in the middle of it, and they ran out of time on the pay-per-view. All these people paid money for it. I mean, it was big money back then, and the match cut off right in the middle of the pay-per-view. I think it was a Rock and Roll Express were fighting that night against.
It's kind of like the Jaws 3D. I saw the movie twice, and it went out, and the same thing twice. It went broke out.
Jeez.
Bad movie. I'm going to make a prediction right now.
Yes.
I'm going to say the number one is the same for all three of us.
I think maybe me and you. I'm not sure about Pennachio. I'm kind of iffy about Pennachio.
He's younger, so
He's young. That's the only reason. But I think it's. I'm saying there's like a 50% chance Pennachio's got the same. I know there's a 100% chance me and you got the same.
Oh yeah, I know. Me and you got the same.
Pennachio, and we're gonna let Pennachio go first because then we'll know.
This is probably going to be like the Hornswoggle and Big Show since he likes this stuff so young. Right.
Yeah, no, but my number one is, and this was my number one from the very start. I kind of started from 1 to 10 and changed them, but my number one is probably the greatest tag team ever, and that is the Dudley Boys.
Oh no, it's not. It's not who I thought it was gonna be. The Dudley Boys. Yeah, I can go along with that. Yeah,
The greatest
said,
tag team of all time is the Dudley Boys.
Because for a long time.
Man, Stevie, he's as bad as you at picks. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
No, because for a long time before they broke up, they never did singles. It was always the tag teams. They won everything.
Good point.
Everything every time they came
won
down,
every
you
tag.
waited for that 3D.
TNA,
You're right.
TNA, WWF,
ECW,
ECW. You're right.
And New
Wow.
Japan. So, but for me, like that was just the best.
I told
brothers
you,
from
50-50.
Dudley
There's definitely an age difference.
Yeah.
But it was before Spike. Before Spike became the Dudleys.
Oh God,
Molly Holly wasn't there.
Oh my gosh, you can't don't talk about there's a third. We'll have Warden all over us, man.
Whatever, dude. Because my number one has 3, but you know the 2 I'm talking about. Get over it.
You actually have 4.
Yeah. But no,
Wow.
it was just
Dudley Boys.
the TLC match.
Dudley
was just
Boys almost made my list. Dudley Boys made my list. I think they were one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, they're an honorable mention for me.
But to you, that's the greatest tag team. But you're right. They stayed a tag team. You're right.
That's the biggest thing. And I think once the brand split happened, Devon went to SmackDown, became Reverend Devon.
I loved Bully Ray when he was in Aces and Eights. That was.
When he did the whole Brooke Hogan thing.
Yeah. And yeah, like once Bully Ray left, you could see what he could have been. I don't think he could have done anything as a single in WWF or E.
You don't think Bully Ray could have had a good run?
No, as Bubba Ray.
I think
Bully Ray should. He could have.
If he was the character he was in TNA, I thought he would have been great. I thought he was what was making me keep on TNA. Him and Beer Money.
If he was Bully Ray, early on in WWF, sure, but not as Bubba Ray. He was always that tag team. He was always
you're right.
The table 3D.
It's kind of like
that look he always had when he like powerbombed somebody, and he just like
I still don't know how
Mae Young. Yeah,
he put Mae Young through a table. I don't know how
Mae Young survived that. I really don't.
I don't know, man, but I wouldn't have mind working with Stacy Kleber up that close and personal myself.
Yeah,
but geez, you made me forget what I was talking about. Bully Ray. What did he say that I was going to chime in on? Way to go, Warden.
Stacy Keibler, man, get you legs.
Way to go, mention Stacy Keibler, and my whole mind goes.
It can do that too. Wow. So Dudley Boys, that's cool.
Yeah,
man. That's cool.
Okay, so Warden, I'm gonna let you.
I think Stevie, our number ones are the same.
Probably so.
The Mulkey brothers.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, Thunderfoot 1 and 2.
the Masked Superstar and what Jay Youngblood or whatever.
Hey, don't talk about Ricky Steamboat and Jay Young.
Number one for me, greatest tag team I ever saw, just dominant as hell. The freaking, not the Legion of Doom, but the Road Warriors.
Yes.
When they came to the crowd with Iron Man.
Oh gosh.
And just
you heard that.
Just the stuff. Just even the, I mean, they were kind of even toned down a little bit when they went to NWA. But man, when they were in the AWA and they beat up about Baron Von Raschke and who's that other guy? Crusher. I mean, that's all. And then Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall. I mean,
Kurt Hennig and his dad, Larry the Axe. They beat them up.
But they just, I mean, they just were so dominant that I don't think you had a lot of people rip them off. But they were so dominant. But it's like the people that you had like the Demolitions, which I never liked because I always thought they were a ripoff, and they weren't even in good shape. But you had like the Barbarian and the Warlord.
Powers of Pain.
You had all these teams, but I mean, nothing was ever the Road Warriors. But I think what killed the Road Warriors was like when they had, when they started bringing in a third party like Draws and all that stuff. They started.
You actually had 4.
Who was the other one?
The freaking ventriloquist dummy they had, Spike. Do you remember that?
No.
Go back and watch SummerSlam 92.
I remember Sonny.
They had Sonny. That was LOD 2000.
But I remember that stuff when they started doing that stuff about Hawk.
Yeah.
Having those demons. I thought that was kind of below the line. I thought I didn't think that was good.
I did too. But go back and watch SummerSlam 92. That's the one from Wembley Stadium.
Okay.
That was a great entrance.
That's when they rolled the bikes in, right?
They have, it was a great entrance when they come on the bikes and everything. But then you look and see this freaking ventriloquist doll.
Oh, the little doll on the front. Yeah.
Oh my! And then Paul Ellering had him at ringside making him talk, and I'm like, he's doing like LOD, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have they?
That's
become?
The WWF for you. They were comical.
Jeez. And there was something going on. I can't remember the story, but there was something going on with Hulk there. Hulk was in bad shape in that match, and I don't know if that was. They had to move him to the first match, I think, because of that. But
kind of sucks about Hawk is that it's like kind of like Eddie Guerrero. You get your crap together, and you did so much crap in the past that your heart just gives out.
Yeah. I mean, but Hawk had some of the best promos out there, and some of them went a little over. And then he goes overboard talking about raping Ric Flair one night. I mean, I'm like, oh my god.
I always liked Animal. Animal was always my guy because he wasn't as big as Hawk, but he was like kind of like Arn Anderson. He was just like the enforcer type.
Yeah.
Hawk was the muscle, but I think Animal was the muscle.
Yeah.
But Hawk was a personality. But man, I don't think we realized how great they were because they didn't have as much competition. I thought when they fought the Russians, like with Koloff, I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty close. They were so dominant though that there was really like in 1984, 85, God, there was nobody like them. They were just
but they were so green.
Yeah.
And they would come along and people would absolutely hate to wrestle because they were so green.
They hurt people.
But, one of the, their feud with the Midnight Express doesn't get talked about a lot, but that was a great feud.
That was.
Of course, a scaffold match. And then finally, it was everybody talks about, Austin was the first heel that everybody cheered for. That's not true. The Road Warriors back in 88, they turned them heel. Yeah, I mean,
that's when they attacked Dusty, right?
They did the whole that cost Dusty his job because he bled on TBS studio. But
that's when he got the polka dots out.
Yeah, he had to go. Well, he actually
got fired for that.
Yeah, because there was blood, and it was a morning show.
Ric Flair bled all the time.
It was a morning show on TBS though.
Oh, the one early in the morning.
Yeah, but. They tried to turn them heel. They beat the Midnight Express when the Midnight Express were babyface for the belts, and started the big feud with Sting, and they had a match with Sting and Luger, but they were never getting booed. I mean, they even, they put Dusty up there, Dusty and Sting against them, They were not getting booed. And then it just, all of a sudden, there was never really, I don't think it lasted, the heel turn lasted like maybe 3 months. And then they had the big feud with the Wars Club with Dr. Death and Rotunda. And Teddy Long ripped them off. And so they were never bad guys for long. Everybody was cheering them.
What was that team what was that team that WWE tried to put in, the Ascension or whatever?
The Ascension. They got
you
booed
talk
the
about
second.
a rip off.
They pretty much stopped it because they said we are better than the Road Warriors, and that was
They were a worse rip off than Demolition. I mean, they were like,
because they were big. They were big in NXT. Brought them up. They're like, okay, cool, this is good. A new team, and they're like, oh yeah, we're better than the crappy the dead Road Warriors or something. And now WWF was like, nah, you're done.
And wasn't Ellering coming up with a team too? Wasn't he managing a team?
They did just recently too, before the lockdown started. But the reason why he stopped was he didn't like traveling.
Yeah,
that was why Ellering stopped.
You know, Ellering's daughter's wrestling now, right?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Is it Rachel or Raquel? I think she's actually on the card for Flair's last match. But okay, so we had one. Me and Warden said we will have 4. So we had Edge and Christian, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Arn and Tully, the Hardy Boys. So that was 5. And then let's see, Harlem Heat, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Heart Foundation. And that was it.
Yeah, I think
so. You have 4 there.
Steven, I think we had 5. Depends who your number 1 is, though.
Well, mine's the Road Warriors. Yeah.
Road Warriors as well.
Yeah, so that was. Yep. But some of my honorable mentions, Beer Money was up there. Arn and Bobby Eaton, the Outsiders, not the NWA. DX.
Yes.
Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Miz and Morrison. I had the Rockers, the Freebirds, Heart Foundation. So that was some of my honorable mentions. Who do you have, Warden, some of your honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions, of course, Dudley Boys.
Yeah.
Edge and Christian. Like I said, I was more of a Edge fan than I was. Hardy Boys were never really one of my favorites. I mean, I don't dislike them, but who else? There was one team that I was thinking of. Yeah, I guess the Outsiders, Hall and Nash.
I'll tell you another one that I like that didn't get. I mean, they got a lot of publicity, but they were more well known over in Japan. Was the Miracle Violence connection with Gordy and Williams, Terry Gordy and Dr. Death.
Yeah,
I mean, when they came over and they came to WCW, them and the Steiners, they had a feud, and that was some awesome matches there.
Couple guys both gone too, man.
Yep, gone way too soon. What about some of your honorable mentions, Pennachio?
I had APA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
They were good, but they were more.
Oh yeah, APA. Yeah.
The entertainment kind of thing, but wrestlers used to hire them for bodyguards and stuff. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
A close one because they weren't really. They were a team, but the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker.
Well, they were
tag
team
close.
champions.
Yeah, but it was more or less like they hated each other for years. You're my brother, I love you. No, I'm going to verse you again. So it kind of broke up quick. Lex Luger and Sting.
Yeah.
And the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors are great. It was just when I got into it, they were kind of just singles. Oh, this is Hawk and this is Animal. They used to be tag teams. I didn't really get to see them.
Yeah.
Other than the network. But yeah, APA and the Brothers of Destruction were my closest one. Wasn't really a fan of DX.
I forgot about APA. That would have been just for their vignettes alone when they're out there
Exactly.
smoking cigars, playing game. And I love JBL as a heel. He was great.
He was a great heel. But yeah, DX, they were good, but it was just too humorous for me.
But you know
what?
what?
It was funny.
You know what the thing I hated about DX was when they got back together? The fact, if you watch, I think that documentary that they did when they first got back together, I don't forget what it's called, but they pretty much buried the whole tag team division one night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the tag team division wasn't that great to start with, but they beat all of them in like a gauntlet match one night. And I was like, you just buried the whole tag team division right there.
Yeah.
I mean, but
That's Vince for you.
Yep. Vince hates tag team wrestling.
I like that one they had where they had the Little People's Court where they had one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like the one where Vince was walking backstage, and first you had the guy, the delivery guy, come up with the enhancement stuff, and then the
Genetic jackhammer.
the alien come up behind him, and Vince gave him
We lost Jack.
Where's Pennachio? But Pennachio's gone. Oh, here he comes. There he goes. He's back.
Yep, I'm back.
Is it a new day there? Is that what they had to do? New day. Forgot New Day.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
Oh, I can't. With Vince. I can't.
But anyway, then the one where they said the guy said apparently you love cock and all this.
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And then the one where they had Vince in the ring and they kept changing his voice. That was pretty. That was.
I always like the one where Shawn Michaels came back and he's Christian and
he's got to go. He's got to walk away. Hey,
yeah, Mr. Fuji, and then this stuff.
I figured
the one with Sergeant Slaughter when they were in the ring and I had the face mask with the
yeah. That was pretty. I figured you were going to put the Spirit Squad on your list, Gordon.
Yeah, just for the Mickey James.
But they're like they got like 5 guys though. One of them was married to Mickey James, wasn't he?
John Cena.
And then John Cena broke that up. Yeah.
I guess they saw him after all.
Wow.
What was that guy's name?
It doesn't matter. Nobody else.
And he just and all of those guys except Dolph Ziggler just disappeared.
Yes.
Ziggler was in that? Ziggler was in
that? Yes.
I actually I got a funny story about Dolph Ziggler.
This gonna be
I saw him at one time I was out to dinner and I saw him at a steakhouse. And I went up to him and congratulations on Nikki Bella, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. But he had that angle with Hugh, another Australian, Hugh Jackman, to where I guess he was, I don't know, was it Wolverine or Real Steel? He was pushing some movie where he hits Dolph Ziggler like in the chin.
Yeah.
And I was in the bathroom and I saw Ziggler. I go, hey man, how's that chin going? And I was, yeah, man, it's kind of giving me a little trouble. And he hit me pretty good, playing along. But I thought that was my kind of my moment of zen with Jack Ziggler. And he's a big metal Dolph Ziggler. He's a big metalhead. But he wasn't alive. Like Jericho tells him, you weren't alive with all those bands you listen to shirts on. I think he's younger. Any kind of your age, Jack?
Yeah, I think he's like late 30s, I believe.
Yeah.
And apparently he does stand-up comedy.
Yeah, he does. Him and Foley both do that.
Yeah.
That's somebody that never really – he's a good worker, but he'll probably have a lot of money from doing it, but they never used him right, in my opinion.
Ziggler will get like this big push. And then when it was like I want to say it was like 3 times, he would get this big push. And when they would get him right to the point where he's going to win the belt, they bury him.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal was there, what he had done backstage or what.
He pissed somebody off.
Yeah, evidently. So Douglas Dixon, he did his top 5 earlier, and it's pretty much me and Warden. Is that Road Warriors at number 1, Arn and Tully at number 2, the Midnight Express at 3A, Rock and Roll at 3B, and then the Steiners at number 4. So let's see who else we got. Kyle came up with, he didn't have his list numbered or anything like that, but Midnight Express, Road Warriors, Rock and Roll Express, Arn and Tully, the Freebirds, the Hart Foundation, the Dudley Boys, New Age Outlaws, the Hardy Boys, and then he was the one that threw in America's Most Wanted. And let me see, who else have we got up here? Douglas Dixon continues his list. I don't know who he had with Ray the Crippler Stevens. He just had him up there by himself. Huh. But he had the Freebirds, the Hart Foundation, Demolition. I know Warden's will cringe at that. The Briscoes, And then it
The
tied
new Briscoes or the ones in
the
Ring of Honor or the old
Gerald
Briscoes?
and Jack. Gerald
Are
and
those
Jack.
guys any kin to the Briscoes?
I think I don't
No,
know.
I don't think they
no,
are. I
I
think
don't
it's just
think
the
they're
name.
kin to them. There was a Briscoe that was in TNA. I think it was Wes. He was a
'cause
member of Aces.
These
and
guys
Aces.
are like in Ring of Honor, and they're called
yeah,
the Briscoes.
not the
I didn't know
redneck. The redneck guys. No, they're
Yeah.
not kin.
They're
to it. I
actually
don't-
going to go up against the FTR this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. But then he had tied at number 10, the Blackjacks, tied with Harlem Heat.
Blackjacks,
So-
is that's with lasagna and Mulligan, right?
Blackjack Lanza
Blackjack,
and,
yeah.
and
Lanza.
Mulligan.
Mulligan.
Lasagna.
I don't know his name.
Getting hungry.
Yeah, I'm
hungry
getting-
Warren.
We've only been on here for 5 hours. I'm starving.
Not quite 5. It's going on 3.
Going
We're
on
not trying
3.
to- I was looking to see if there's anybody else to put a list.
We got to
up
do it
here.
to 3 hours because you'll pay me overtime. Remember?
Yeah,
You get paid?
union rules. Union rules. And Robert Matthews has made a little comment up here. He was in Norfolk the night Triple H and Michael showed up in their camouflage, and everybody thought it was part of the show. So, Triple H and Michaels?
And that's the DX when they went to WCW, wasn't it?
I think that was Triple H and. Are you
Road
talking
Dogg
about?
and-
I don't know if Robert's talking about the one where they showed up outside with the tank. But Michaels wasn't there. I don't think.
Yeah,
for
Michaels
that.
was on. He was hurt.
He was.
That
he
was
was
with
back.
that
Triple
was
H,
the
X
Outlaws.
Pac, and
China,
Outlaws.
China, and,
Yeah,
and like X-Pac was on like what WCW the week before. He went back and forth.
6.
Yeah.
Worse than Rick Rude.
Does he count
No.
as the NWO?
It depends. It's like whatever they need him for. Like, didn't he
I
do
don't
that?
count him because
He's
my
part- he was
NWO's
both.
he was
was
actually
both.
the fourth.
Because wasn't he on that wrestling thing with Sting? Wasn't he part of the NWO?
Who?
X-Pac.
You mean the Wolf?
They either use him for DX or NWO because he was on both.
He was on.
Oh, you mean at the WrestleMania match?
Yeah.
He came out with NWO.
He came out. Did he come out with DX?
I think he came with NWO. I don't know. They
Yeah,
you talk
yeah.
about
Because DX was Sean.
you talk about
and the
somebody
US
that should have.
Outlaws.
You talk about a match that should have went the other way.
That
Yeah.
that was Vince shoving it to
But that's
WCW
Vince, that's
one more
Vince.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew that wasn't going to happen. But I'm trying to think of who. I don't know. I might have to go back and watch that. But,
That's your homework assignment, Stevie. Go back and watch that.
Yeah. So Pennachio's getting ready for lunch now. We get ready for bed.
No kidding.
Oh, my day's just starting.
I know.
Yeah.
Kidding.
So
too.
I'm sorry. I'm actually starting vacation tomorrow, so I'll be out for 9 days. Thank God.
So we're doing 8. We're doing 8 podcasts.
We're gonna pull a Conrad. We're gonna do a podcast every day, at least twice, maybe twice a day.
twice on Sunday.
Yeah, we do actually have the top 10 AC/DC songs coming up Wednesday with Tame and Sorry.
We're gonna do that one
Canada.
live too, or what?
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. I think we've actually got some good feedback. We appreciate everybody chiming in.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, Jack. It was nice meeting you in person.
Hey, it was great.
or face to face,
And
anyway.
Finally, me and Pennachio were in the Shout Out Loudcast beer social, and that was an event. That was an event. Yeah, but
it was like up to here, and then it just.
it was a little
It was
mixture.
good. It was great.
It was
was
great. I'm ready for another one, but it was a little bit of everything in there. You had the
No
Southern
drinking.
accent, you had the Australian accent, you had the British accent, the Canadian. It was people from everywhere in there.
Yeah.
The Canadian one of the Canadian ones just couldn't last too long. He won the Drunk Man Award that night. So
Yeah, he was gone early. Poor guy.
he was hilarious though. King Casano, he was great. But Pennachio would definitely have you on again if you.
I would love to,
come
man.
back
Any
on.
other wrestling ones? I'm keen for.
Okay, we got. Looks like we got our wrestling man award.
Yes, sir.
So we definitely
Definitely
got
have
to
him and what's his name come back on?
Mr. Fusion Tech.
Yes.
Joe Decker. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
at Joe. Actually, was gonna come home and he had to do something with his kid tonight. So
We got to come up with a good wrestling, not just like a, maybe most obscure wrestler or, something different. Not just, like we got our top 10 out, got our top 10 tag teams out. We got to come
I
up with
can already
something.
tell you, we've already talked about Arn was one of the most underrated wrestlers, but he's not as far as most underrated, he's not my number one. And my number one will probably kind of shock you, but he's definitely the most underrated wrestler right there. If this guy,
we gotta brainstorm and kind of come up with something that's different, not just like a top 10 list. I mean, that's pretty easy, but something we can. I mean, I don't know, something we can. I don't know.
We can talk about a time
Yeah.
in wrestling,
yeah,
We can do that.
the Attitude Era, or something.
it looks like we may see another Attitude Era coming with the whole. They dropped the PG-13, whatever it was.
14 now, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's coming now. The week Vince leaves.
Well, they can. Well, they dropped it backstage evidently, so might as well do it on TV too.
Did y'all realize the day he retired was also like, I think it was the same day, like years ago, where he got acquitted in that steroid trial?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, how ironic.
Well, he got a lot of pushback too, because I mean they're pretty bad. Like especially like with Mickey James, how they just put all her crap in a bag.
Yeah,
like
I mean
bag.
that.
Yeah.
That's why you never, like with athletes, if they can get the most money, get it, because once the team's done with you, you're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they did to China. They just wiped their hands at China, and she was still a big draw.
She was. But Laurinaitis, I never liked him. You know,
he had a good finisher. He had a good finisher.
You know, anybody
he had a good mullet.
Yeah. Anybody talks about Shane Douglas, he says the worst thing I ever had to do with Dean Douglas. No, the worst thing you ever had to do was the dynamic dudes. I mean, coming out with, he couldn't even skate. He just carried John Laurinaitis. He could skate, but Shane Douglas, if you always know, you watch dynamic dudes matches, he just carried the skateboard to the ring because he couldn't skate. So, yeah, I would have to say, to me, the dynamic dudes angle is worse than the Dean Douglas. But yeah, that's just me. Oh, good Lord. Wiping Out. Coming out to the Fat Boys singing Wipeout. That's a, you know, maybe we can talk about, certain, like, I don't know if we'll have to get with Pennachio on what he can actually watch, certain pay-per-views and stuff like that. Yeah. We can like older pay-per-views or whatever we talk about. Well, of course, we got SummerSlam coming up. I may actually try to watch that. Maybe we can come back on and talk about that.
The good thing about that, I can actually watch that because that's on a Saturday your time. It's actually this time next week it's on. I can actually watch that SummerSlam.
Yep. Well, we can.
Saturday?
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it's on Saturday. They started having Saturday pay-per-views.
They call them premiums now. It's like full premium.
That crap they had with those 2 nights of WrestleMania, that sucked.
I don't like that. I don't like the 2 nights of WrestleMania.
Of course, I like Austin being back for both nights, but that was cool.
Anyway, so now we've hit the 3-hour mark, so I'm gonna have to.
And he mentioned the Fat Boys, so that's when I get off. So
yeah. Hey, you didn't take that the wrong way, did you? Anyway, Pennachio, thank you so much for being a guest.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's great to finally get you on the show. We've been talking about it for a while. And we will definitely have you back on again. But Warden, any last words you want to share?
No, it's nice. Like I said, it's nice meeting you, Jack. And it's nice to put these, you know, I'm friends with these people on Facebook and actually seeing and getting to talk to them. But I had a blast, man. It's 3 hours didn't seem like 3 hours, man.
No, it's going by so quick.
It's just funny how the whole Loudcast, like we had Joe on, we've had Pennachio on. I don't know who's next. I think maybe we'll get King Cusano on next.
We had Zeus on.
Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus.
Tom's talking about coming on, so maybe we'll get you know, Marty White. I have to take my hat off to Marty White. He's a loyal. He watches the YouTube version of this, and he always has some kind of comment up there. I take my hat off to Marty White. And Warden, if you see, you know who we're talking about with Marty White, right? The guy that always comes up, he's one that always said, and we used to say it a lot in the Loudcast group, that his girlfriend looked like Lou Ferrigno. And some of the stuff he puts up there, but if you saw this guy, Oh, the face does not fit what he puts on.
No, no, he's so nice and polite.
He is. That night at the beer search, he was just like, he was so nice. And then all of a sudden, you see him typing on the keyboard, like, and then so and so, I did this, and then my girlfriend looked at me and said, "I've got to get off," because she's saying all this stuff. I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's hilarious!" But I had to throw a shout out to him real quick because he's always commenting on the YouTube stuff. Anyway, 3 hours later, we got our top 10 tag teams done. If you guys don't agree, we had a lot of people chime in with their list. It was great. Let us know what your top 10 tag teams are, who we should have left out, who we should have put in. Follow us on our YouTube channel. And I can't do Zeus's YouTube. I'm sorry. I'm not going to even try that. He would get. I don't want to rip him off. But check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, all the podcast things. And you can also email us at thefinalscoreentertainment@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook, on our Twitter, or you can check our Facebook groups. We've got 3 Facebook groups out. The On the Fly group, and then all things hard rock and metal. I said it right that time.
All things rock, hard rock, and metal. Rock, hard rock, and metal.
Okay.
And then that 80s page.
Yeah.
That 80s
page. Okay. All right. So, Pennachio, you got anything you want to share with us before we go?
No, just thank you guys so much. Like I said, we've been chatting for years, a couple of years now, and it's just great to put a voice to the faces. No, it's just been great, man. It's just as if it's just this 3 hours has flown by. I would love to do this again. This has been great.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on again. That's for sure. Yeah. No doubt about it. All right. So if that's it, guys, you guys have a great week. We'll be seeing you again real soon. We'll be doing another show Wednesday. So whether it's live or not, we don't know, but we'll be having another show this week. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next week on The Fly.
See ya.
See you guys.